Alright, hopefully my mic is sounding nice and crisp. New mic. I was just in a private match, testing my settings. But I'm happy to be streaming these old CODs here. I'll pause Linus for a sec, sorry bro. But I'm very happy to be streaming these old CODs. Can't wait till they're on Game Pass. I only have Modern Warfare 2 and 3 on disc. I have the PS3 and I have Black Ops 2 on there, but obviously I can't use that fucking disc, so. And those servers are full of hackers. But see if on a good night. Oh! Fuck yeah, dude. The servers are nice. I mean, it is still technically peer-to-peer like host, but the matchmaking is what's fixed, not the server. Well, I guess you can see the matchmaking server, whatever the fuck.
In summary then, we probably downgraded our radiator a little bit. More surface area from the front tends to be better than more thickness overall. Plus, these are probably better fans than what we put on this. But we upgraded our block. Our pump is probably fine. We actually have a reservoir now at all.
Team deathmatch.
We did it for $60 less. So we could have splurged for premium fans and we would still have a system.
Servitas Vitae.
But we're looking for here. The biggest thing is CPU package.
We've taken the lead.
Just dropped below about 180.
Yeah, I have Autumn right now, but I'm trying to get that gold.
We've lost the lead.
Yes, but we also blew the budget with that GPU.
Okay. CPU 85, 90.
He's hiding in the fucking crack, dude. You can't be serious.
Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted.
I think that we're still.
I gotta get warmed up, dude, low key. Dude, the look cards are genuinely harder, in my opinion. And the aim, it's not even like the aim assist is stronger than the UFS. The aim assist is pretty fucking strong in these kind of games.
Enemy UAV spotted.
That's still more.
Enemy high incoming.
I rolled it. My sense is too high, dude. But like, you need to look at high senses in games. Okay, I'm not looking good for me right now.
This is basically like
Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted. Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted. Enemy UAV spotted. Enemy high incoming.
Just like there are more affordable segways.
around here. Yes, slop, give me a...
Enemy height incoming. Heads up. Enemy UAV spotted. Defeated. Don't let this happen again.
That was not a joke. You know it's a pyro video and it's a Dark Souls reference, or a Breaking Bad reference.
Paid money to get access to pictures in a YouTube video that she was talking about.
And think about how it might feel for them after having to see those photos in the courtroom to then have them plastered all over the internet and then trying to charge you money to do them so you can get rich.
Got him warmed up. Thank God no one wants to play Interchange. Fuck Interchange, dude.
But the articles coming out about her now have basically made her a masked man, or masked woman, I guess. But like I said, Zavgirl is a crime YouTuber, and what crime YouTubers tend to do is talk about crimes. These can be recent ones, but usually they're historical, like for example, stuff going back 10, 20, or even 30 years. But again, I don't think I've ever seen a YouTuber stoop low enough to talk about a real-life situation and then put the autopsy photos behind a paywall. It's $3, right? I don't care if it's $1. This is like Logan Paul going into the Japanese forest, and then he puts like, oh, you want to see the uncensored version? Yeah, it's on my Patreon. Just give me $20. Now, quick rundown on the whole situation. This was a video that Zavgirl made a video on in 2011.
I do like the gunsmith system in the new CODs, though. It is better. It does add more complication. Like, this is so simple. Some of the guns just come with attachments on them which you can't even use, like the USP. I may have it equipped, but there's a fucking what do you call it? Flashlight on it, and you can't even fucking use it. It just looks cool.
Patreon actually heard about this and they were like, what the fuck are you using our platform for? And they basically deleted her Patreon entirely. This has now led Zavgirl to do an apology video. I do want to say, thank God, it is not up there with Colleen's apology video. You know, the ukulele girl? It's not that bad, but it's still pretty bad.
Hi everyone. Listening to this, and you likely know about the last few days. I want to apologize to everyone, especially for doing some personal social while I'm not looking for forgiveness or trying to make excuses. I do hope to provide additional context that has not been made clear.
Okay, it seems rough to a good start. There's no deep sigh. I mean, it's very obvious that she's reading a script because her eyes are going down every 2 seconds.
Team deathmatch.
Given the circumstances, it's actually a proper response. You know, I can kind of sympathize with that.
Oh, it was her kid? Oh, I wasn't listening, dude. That's pretty fucked.
All the video, audio, and
Enemy UAV spotted. Enemy UAV spotted. Take care of it.
I'm reviewing what I received so I could provide more. I believe many of my images were already shown during the trial, and I saw the photos on other public channels that live streamed the trial and shared the evidence. I didn't think any of the images were new. These photos were already public, although the video I put together with the Patreon. Putting the evidence behind
Enemy UAV spotted.
the video video I created with a voice from the corner wasn't meant
Are you serious, dude?
not to put their photos on YouTube to public forum. Those views wouldn't allow me to make more money.
This kind of reminds me of those government hearings you have where like people in Congress talk about YouTube and they have no idea what they're talking about.
Enemy UAV spotted. Enemy UAV spotted.
Those autopsy pictures, I haven't seen them personally, but they're autopsy pictures. They probably would have gotten less in.
Enemy pave low in theater. The enemy's jamming our radar. Our UAV's online.
He's on top of that shit? I'll eat that. God, you fucking piece of shit. Oh god. Wait, what? I only have one? There gotta be a perk for that or some shit.
Enemy cobra incoming.
Although you can see the photos published on other platforms.
But like, why are you publishing this shit? I don't get it. I did one already.
You have been defeated.
What's up, guys? This is Bird Music, and I got a mod menu of Black Ops 2. Let's get started before we dive into this wacky video. I just want to let you guys know more on the last Black Ops 2 video. You guys absolutely killed it. So if you guys want to see some more OG Call of Duty stuff, make sure to drop a like. Let's see if we can break 10,000 likes again. What's actually so cool about making these throwback COD videos is it just shows how many like people who haven't watched in a long time come back. But there's also a ton of people who are brand new to Call of Duty and they don't even know what these
Terminal,
games are
let's
like. So if
fucking
you're brand new here,
go.
or if you're someone who's an OG and you want to see some more videos like this, then subscribe. And real quick before I show you guys the Black Ops 2 mod menu, I want to let you guys know that G Fuel is currently having a BOGO on their tubs for like the next week or so. If you buy one tub, you can get another one free, but even if you don't want to do that, you can still use code MERC and save 20% off. Link to the description below. So here we are, guys. We are on Jiggy Menu V4.2. I do want to be clear and upfront right before we dive into this video. I will not be using this mod menu online. I have no plans to abuse or use this in public matches. This has been my stance for quite some time in Call of Duty, and I still stand by that. Mods can be fun. They can also be terribly unfun. So I'm just going to use the fun stuff in...
Hello guys and gals, it's me Mutahar, and today I want to talk about something that I think shouldn't be on Steam. I think Steam should remove this.
It's kind of weird
thing.
watching a
The
COD
only
commentary
point
YouTuber
is
while
make
you're
a game,
literally playing
and
COD
before we get into it,
on
the game is
streams.
actually pretty alright from what I've seen, okay? I've loaded this up on the PlayStation 5. It's a battle royale game, melee focused. The combat is interesting, but other than that, it's got something nasty behind it, and that is it requires you to turn off security features on your computer just to get it to play. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever get a game that requires you to do that, I don't care how good it is, you don't do it, all right? And I've been very hardline against it. I talked about Valorant, that the game is great, but anytime you get anti-cheats that have to install like kernel-level drivers and are always persistently running, that's not good. Things have changed for Valorant since then. They've still got
Delta team,
drivers,
you are clear
but
to
it's not
engage.
persistent. Again, even then, I don't run these games. If they don't work under Linux, I don't bother. If they don't work under a VM, I really don't care. So, they moved it down to Linux. So, for instance, if you actually look at this Muda. Now, if you have Windows, God forbid, Windows 11 comes with a few extra security features. Some of them mostly port isolation and memory integrity.
Enemy UAV spotted.
This is like higher level things to basically, help Windows in stopping programs from using low-level drivers to do really nefarious things on your computer. Now, the fact is, it's not going to but it's just an extra little security. I guess the best possible way to put it is think about your house.
The enemy is jamming our radar.
You got walks under the windows are closed. You know, you got
UAV online.
You got layers of security.
Heads up, Delta Team. Enemy UAV spotted.
In between your house. It's not gonna
UAV online.
We're gonna get into the technical.
UAV online.
And before I continue, this is a really
We've taken the lead.
it's almost as if every modern multiplayer game requires you to be so goddamn invaded upon, you have to have the most invasive drivers in the system.
Yeah, Valorant has really blocked fucking Vanguard, like the Valorant anti-cheat. It blocks fouls from opening on PC. It has the little yellow icon when it doesn't.
He has pretty much made his entire project out of fighting. 1 in 3 people on PC gaming are actual cheats. I played enough Siege to
Heads
know
up, enemy
when
UAV spotted.
Homelander is in the session, okay? Oh, that's Muda headshot. All right, I hate cheating, I really do. But doesn't I ever enjoy having anti-cheat software this invasively installed into my system? One thing that I wanted to address was a bit of what I like to call racism on the situation.
What?
But there have been a lot of negatives. China plus PC protection equals what possibly could go wrong. Try coming back to the game after you're not playing game after disable HVCI. Install Naraka. Now, CCP data stealing app?
Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
The other negative reviews are about the absolutely perved off the American player base because of shit netcode. Server latency. But if we go back to the first 2 reviews in this situation, I don't believe it's okay to just say, oh, China's buying China. You understand Chinese companies, corporations, a lot of these like
There's a fucking floor mat. That was a body.
Enemy UAV spotted.
Now, again, they're scared about China harvesting and stealing your data. Congratulations, every country is doing it, okay? I would point out that Reddit,
Muda's base is fucked, man.
Heads up, enemy UAV spotted.
also being Chinese. A lot of the services for harvesting okay, that is what just a full where governments can compel companies to hand over data.
UAV. Enemy iron incoming.
Even if it's not the government you have to be scared of, it's the fact that
The enemy is jamming our radar.
Obviously, the government of China
Defeated. Don't let this happen again.
Free-to-play battle royale game. But usually when you have invasive drivers like this, drivers that are allowed to operate at such a low level, sometimes that's illegal. Literally, it was like what? A year ago, that we saw Genshin Impact. Its actual tunnel mode anti-cheat was used in a ransomware attack against average Andes. So again, to really reiterate, you don't even need to have Genshin Impact installed. They were just using an anti-cheat library, a driver, to cause damage. And that's one of the things that people tend to worry about. So again, to go back to what we're talking about here, the HVCI that Naraka Bladepoint wants you to disable is memory integrity, okay? It's a feature in Windows 10, Windows 11, and Windows Server. Okay,
No,
integrity
not
and
interchange,
VPS
fuck.
improve the threat model of Windows and provide stronger protections against malware trying to exploit the Windows kernel. So by default, it is actually enabled. Memory integrity is turned on by default on clean installs of Windows 11, and previously only on clean installs of Windows 10 in S mode, which is their like safety, security, the official price mode, on compatible hardware as described in this title. So if you had a processor, Intel 8th Gen or later, starting with Windows 11, AMD Zen 2 and above, Qualcomm 8180 and above, minimum 8 gigs SSD, they would just enable this by default, okay, if they saw all these ticks checked. So again, this isn't auto-enabled just because not all hardware is completely compatible with the system, but if your hardware is, it's just a background enabled.
Hedgeman City, shall we?
Last week, M80 officially unveiled their long-rumored entry into professional Counter-Strike, and just as said rumors suggest,
Team deathmatch.
hot, up and coming, and of course, America, which is great, really.
Delta team, you are clear to engage.
Question is, it's too late. Liquid moving to EU and EG and collectively still struggling to find footing. I wonder, is MACS finally, really, truly past the point?
We've taken the lead.
Before we get to the video, our friends over at are putting on the third
AT&T?
Annihilator Gun, happening every Thursday. Your favorite creators like Tarek, It's Timmy, and Lyric play different games for glory, bragging rights. Also watching about favorite games. Look, it's no secret. American esports in general is.
How did I miss that? Fucking hell.
It's also no secret that North American take it's just one special story. It's almost
Yeah, what's with NA, dude?
The enemy is jamming our radar. Heads up, Delta team. Enemy UAV spotted. Enemy UAV spotted.
America's, which is why y'all are so much. Yes, I know you want to leave these genetics, but because y'all play that game. We are superheroes. Not because we're Valorante and
Heads up, enemy UAV spotted.
we are, but because until very recently,
Yeah, why is he me riding EU right now?
gaming in North America was vastly outweighed by the okay, CGS,
Enemy behind incoming.
Go, C9 winning the major, Liquid Speed, NACS was sort of rogues just COVID.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I think you want to plug in my mic, I'm not gonna lie.
UAV spotted. Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
ATK and Bad News Bears, but by the time every
Yes, I love the bear. Let me foot up, bro. Ass, dude, I'm fucking ass, man. There's no point in me even trying to take that shit down, dude. How do you get more rockets? I don't remember, man. You gotta level up the fucking thing.
not dead. Not dead.
Hostiles jamming our radar.
Has elevated misfits into 80. And whether the result of mismanagement or otherwise,
LGR for sure.
Enemy SAM detected.
One of my comfort YouTubers for sure.
Have the Unreal Vortex. Player race. I don't know if I'm going to look at all of them, but if you've seen an Unreal Vortex demonstrated, I love those demos. It's what first sold me on the product.
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
At Sam's Club store. And it was really cool display setup just for and it looked awesome. It was so impressive. Anyway, yeah, you got wavetable and MP401, and of course you got the Sound Blaster emulation going on. I'm assuming gonna do some OPL 2-3 emulation, if not great quality. None of these do add the emulation very well, but hey, it's there. And then of course we have the Pro game and Pro quality, 32 and 64 voices, wavetable effects, reverb, chorus, things here for the splash screen, and that's loud. I don't know if I want that on. We'll leave it on now. Let's just open one of these demos.
Wait,
There's that
31,
splash
yeah.
screen.
We're like
So yeah,
third of the way.
you can change from stereo. Why is the color weird? To A3D. And this, I haven't actually tried recording this directly and then just putting it on YouTube and seeing how well it works as a direct recording with headphones. I'm assuming it'd be fine because it's still using stereo to simulate the 3D effect. I don't know. I've just been meaning to do a video on the Vortex cards forever, and I have not. Oh dear. Here we are again with an expert software thing and an LGR blurb video. Greetings. Welcome to this. This was a moment of weakness. Desperation, perhaps. I don't know. Just curiosity got the better of me. You might have seen in the last video I did about an expert software thing, the ultimate game collection for Windows and DOS, it turned out. Yeah, I just happened to see this 3D font creator shown in that catalog, and I was just immediately intrigued and went on eBay, and there was one copy available, complete box. Still sealed, so that's what we're going to look at today. A sealed inbox thing. It makes your documents explode in 3D after all. Can't say no to that. It's effectively word art in a box, and that is precisely why I was so drawn to it.
Yeah, Macadamia nut hitting right now.
Anyway, 100 true type fonts, 25 custom 3D font samples. Don't know exactly what that means. Apparently it's for versions, 2 versions of the CD-ROM.
Team deathmatch.
Don't know if it's the same executable or not. 1996.
I need a girl who knows how to bake a fucking mean-ass batch of cookies, bro. That's my wife.
Image editor type of thing. And I'm assuming that you export them as images. I don't really know. Word.
Honestly, I'd love to learn how to bake, like cakes and shit.
Okay. Well,
Cupcakes, fucking.
What
What else is
look
baked?
Pizza
baked? No, pizza's cooked, right?
Never use the 3D font
We
program.
put it in an oven. So.
86,
Enemy UAV spotted.
Alright, whatever. This is just, it brings me some interesting memories too, because for some reason I was obsessed with the idea of like 3D letters, probably because of stuff like this, not this program, but other programs like Word and Printshop that allowed me to make 3D letters. And it was just something I like to draw. So for instance,
Enemy UAV spotted. The enemy is jamming our radar.
draw this and like just little things like that.
TTK is so fast. These old games, dude.
Doesn't matter. We're taking
They get fast in newer games too, but
do that. And we're
that's the reality.
gonna see how we can make the sun faded. Hey. I'll accept it. Cut myself on it.
Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
Even less in this one than the last one. Literally just have a PC novice.
Enemy UAV spotted.
Registration card. No catalog.
I love how the FOV doesn't change when you deal with pistol in.
Of course, the software. CD-ROM. I mean, it's got a wood. It's gonna do that. Okay. That's pretty much all there is to see here. Windows 90 something. And see what we can do. For some 3D font creation. Windows.
Enemy Cobra incoming.
There is indeed second versions 1.5
What? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just one executable. That's how it goes. Yeah, the times when you had to make sure that, oh, it is definitely compatible with 95, even though it's made by a product. Oh, look at that. Hey, let's see here. Man,
The next gen console should add like a reshade kind of thing where you can like change like the post-processing settings. The contrast and the brightness, gamma, all that shit.
Enemy UAV spotted.
love when the documentation on a CD or a disc called online. Look at all these things. Aussie screensaver. Oh dear.
The enemy is jamming our radar.
Yeah, I do like this program a lot better than the. Yeah. You know, they put some box, just box in a box. It's the nice box, you know. All the clips, greeting card, man, that's all the things. It's all the things.
Enemy Cobra incoming. Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
Fucking blow, dude. We like this clip there.
Favorite games?
Fucking choppers on my ass. Didn't kill that fuck.
Defeated. Don't let this happen again.
And the thing is, like, the game doesn't even look as good as you guys are seeing. I might just turn off the filters real quick. Can't really click and run the menu now, but this is how the game normally be looking. Turn it back on real quick. This is I was just silent.
The Revell model kit for a car. At least one of the versions does.
Team deathmatch.
I'm gonna take the CD out of there.
I think you want to go get some fucking cheese.
I'm gonna install.
Delta team,
Like
you are clear
cheese
to
straight, not
engage.
straight cheese.
I don't think it.
Oh, it eats straight cheese, like the square. I gotta munch that.
Install it again. They canceled out the.
We've taken the lead.
Yeah, registration activation thingy. Just put any shortcuts or even copy all their files. Here it is. Now it's there. Oh, before I put the CD in there, let's do this really quick. At word, being able to type in whatever, and then you get these 3D text box images. There we go. So anyway, there's not a lot to do though in terms of this. You can't customize the way it looks necessarily. It's just you take from those pre-made artist styles. That's about it. So I'm hoping and here we go. Oh, we get a changing of the window title. That's fun. We'll just type in some
Heads
text.
up, Delta team. Enemy UAV spotted.
So many other options here. Let's see, what can we do?
Enemy UAV spotted. Heads up, enemy UAV spotted.
Yeah, I was really expecting this kind of degree of freedom here. Basic 3D modeling program. Whatever other models, you just have like you can choose any. Pretty cool. So it's just using the vector.
Hostiles jamming our radar.
Oh, that's bad. So yeah, it's like super word art. Intriguingly, look at this. It's almost like it's going around sphere.
Dude.
It's totally changing the angle. Or like there's a camera looking at it from a direct angle. That's more like this. But if you do the perspective, yeah, look at that.
Come on,
you
come
have
on,
a
come on.
perspective.
Oh my
Enemy
goodness.
care package incoming.
The fucking soldier has Parkinson's. I'm not getting caught timing. One more.
Yeah. I honestly would have loved this back. Oddly obsessed with 3D.
UAV online.
Dude, I need to ascend.
Enemy SAM detected.
No rear or wiper ever. Grid spacing, light effect. A basic light.
Enemy down! Enemy down!
There's the grid. Okay. So, yeah, that's much more.
Low.
Enemy SAM detected.
Grid. Much better. So we can do wireframe as well. Okay, pretty darn
Dude.
cool.
Enemy
Okay,
advanced
like,
UAV
just get
spotted.
serious.
Textures. Oh, it's got to load them from the CD. Oh, we got ants. is just throwing them on the front. Whoa. These are terrible.
I'm looking trying to get that golden Hornet, so I can lie.
Suitable for anything.
UAV online.
Well, why can't I like change the texture of the side? Oh, well, kind of.
Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
Sure, I call that a bevel. Maybe it's a bevel. Yeah, no, it's beveled. Alright.
Just another day. Good job.
Greetings, and today on LGR we have this debatably enjoyable, new to me old computer that I'm unjustifiably excited to have. The E-Machines
I'll grab some fucking cheese. Enjoy this.
IR from the year 2000. One with the infamous never obsolete sticker emblazoned on the front of the case, looking like some kind of scam. Isn't it great? I think it's great in an admirably awful way, which we'll get to, but first, where this came from. I picked this up recently while I was exhibiting at the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest show in Illinois, and between all the Apple leases, SGI workstations, Amigas, terminals, rare imported machines, and so on, there was this. That's just talking to folks like, yeah, there's an incredible Twiggy Apple Lisa over there, but have you seen that complete year 2000's E-Machines E-Tower with all the original stickers? I don't know, I've been looking for a complete setup like this for years, so this was my one computer purchase at the whole show, go figure. I'll have a full video about VCF Midwest in the future, but for now I feel like unwinding with some E-Machines silliness. Yeah, I quite like these things, not so much for the machine's capabilities, but more the context in which the system existed. They're precisely the type of budget computer that was endlessly present growing up, with several friends and relatives grabbing an E-Machines Tower as their first computer in the late 90s, early 2000s. And with good reason. The E-Tower 566 series was often available at retail for the cost of $0. That's right, nothing. For a handful of years around the turn of the millennium, you could wander into your big box retailer of choice and walk out with a complete brand new Windows 98 or XP computer system without paying a dime. From a certain point of view. The catch was you'd pay the total cost up front, usually between $500 and $600, and then you'd have 3 or 4 mail-in rebates to take care of. One from the store themselves, one from E-Machines, and another, the largest one, from a dial-up internet service provider. And often that meant committing to a couple years of service at $20 a month or whatever, after which you hopefully get all your money back and checks in the mail over the coming months. Minus local taxes, of course. Why go with a $2,000 Sony Vaio, $1,000
Hell yeah,
Rosario?
baby.
Machines was the dominant choice for
got
many if you were seeking a favorable PC on a budget.
4 cheese screens. Nature Valley Bar. We eat.
Hey, free computer! If you were already going to sign up with ISP regardless, it might just make sense. And of course, there was the thing of being never obsolete. An absurd figure that seemed like some kind of silly joke to anyone who knew anything about computers back then.
Explosive
Of course,
decoy
this
on the
was
way.
nothing more than a marketing tactic, advertising the E-Machines network plan. Which for $19.99 a month included both MCI dial-up internet and an upgrade path to a new PC every 2 years. I've talked about all this in the company's history before on LGR, but the gist is that E-Machines tactics worked well. Becoming North America's first largest behind compact HP and whatever though, we've got a fine example of an E-Tower on the table, so let's talk about it. Beginning with the case itself, that little beige tower that was used in
I really wanted to get that jump shot.
Enemy UAV identified.
One empty and one populated with an optical drive.
Enemy
which
UAV
in the case
identified.
of the 566R here is
Hostiles
a
jamming our radar.
an upgrade over the 556i, and I believe it may have been as others I've seen have this nice place to the case. Hopefully I can find ways to restore it someday. And there is a 3.5-inch diskette drive planted above the part sitting right in the same drive bay, and a hard on-off power button that has a light spotted.
UAV online.
Then down at the bottom, there is a door hiding a USB 1.2 connection and a 15-pin keyboard for joysticks and the like. Plus stickers, all the daggone stickers. These were useful when displayed on a store shelf, but they were always there on the case from the factory, so it's neat to see them still apply. Sealed off, like most others I've seen. Although the fact an AOL 5.0 sticker is missing.
Watch our 6, enemy UAV spotted. We've lost the lead.
Go ahead and drive on.
UAV online.
Obligatory shout out to Shield.com because their products are awesome. And here's the standard I/O alignment with 0 surprises, PS2, USB, serial, VGA, parallel, and sound, all integrated into the motherboard with undoubtedly new results. And this does leave 4 expansion drives available since barely anything installed in time. On that note, the screws are all that's needed to free the configuration. I like how that QA sticker is still on there too. Again, all these old stickers going on, that's half the reason I bought this. Inside is a standard socket 370 motherboard.
UAV online. Watch our 6, enemy UAV spotted.
It's loaded with an Intel Celeron running at 566 megahertz, supplied by the machine model number, and as for it originally came with 64 megabytes PC100 SD RAM, but this one's been upgraded to the
Enemy advanced UAV spotted.
Hard drive, well, it's been swapped out too.
Oh god, look at that pop it
90
in the
gig
distance.
SSD instead of the 15 gig ICE original. And at this price,
You don't notice it when you play on the 360 and you're fucking shitty.
PCI slots is for expansion, none of which is filled
Watch
with
our
a
6,
long
enemy
gone
UAV
56K
spotted.
card. Considering there are 4 brackets around that, the thing there aren't more slots, but I guess the machines built these cases to be used in tons of
Watch our
configurations.
6, enemy UAV spotted.
It's fair for the time. The cost 2-button PS2 ball and mouse that is as underwhelming as it is decently usable in a pinch. The same goes with the speakers.
There you go.
That sounded out as
Defeated. And we were told you were the best.
But hey, at least these have an oddly cute look to them. Keyboard, another nifty thing to have with this whole setup. Check this out. It's a mega mushy membrane affair with keycaps that make me sad, but I don't actually hate it either. Guess there's something to be said for the nostalgic.
Gotta eat this Nature
factor.
Valley bar in a fucking bowl. If you don't eat your Nature Valley bar in a bowl, you are setting yourself up for failure. Okay, you don't know what's good for you. That shit is Crumb City, but tastes so fucking good. Check this cheese though, it's peeled. Oh shit, this shit's about to be so high quality. Shit. Fuck. I gotta fix my specialist. Scavenger. No, I don't need scavenger. I'll keep recon. Assassin. Bedside. Yeah. Low-key, I should run specialist for every class.
It also has this fascinating array of shortcut keys, largely related to web browsing, but also volume controls, which is nice since the unpowered speakers it came with don't have controls at all. You also get this big old row of oddly specific nonsense with shortcuts to things like banking, tickets, brokerage, paying bills, auctions, games, and so on. And my favorite, greetings. How can I resist a system with a dedicated greetings team deathmatch? Unfortunately, I don't have the software to make this work, but I believe all of them just open a web browser to predetermined websites. Finally, there's the eView 14 monitor. It's a 14-inch CRT PVA display built in November 1998, included with multiple power models.
Fuck, cheese string just goes so hard.
And digital controls for
I fucking love cheese.
Basic adjustments, and a viewing area. 1024 by 768 resolution at 60 Hz. Shrunken, so lower resolutions are ideal. So even with the light cosmetic damage here and there, the frame is great, especially with low-res DOS games and whatnot. Oh, the phosphors on this particular unit.
Yeah, hold on. On a map like this, it's easier to tell with the filter. Can you turn that shit off? Ooh. You know. It still looks pretty alright, I'd say. You know? This is definitely Modern Warfare 3. This is that old muddy I didn't see right there.
UAV identified.
Correction.
It looks nice and vibrant. What am I doing about all this? Let's move to a company spot and get stuck in the Machine's E-Tower experience circa 2000.
Drive-based speakers, of course, but you know, are what they are. 566 IR here is ready to go. Unfortunately, not with the original installation recovery disk. But anyway, let's go ahead and test out some things. So the monitor I have set to 6 far most readable, very simple.
I really don't like this map, I'm not gonna lie to you. Definitely not one of my favorites at all.
And here's another thing.
Just turn down the game volume a bit.
It scrolls upwards kind of a lot, like I'm barely moving it just off the pad there.
I hope I've been loud enough this whole time. That'd be pretty embarrassing.
I've looked in there and like everything is fine. It's all in place. It's just the roller. When it goes vertical, it tends to keep rolling whenever you lift the ball. So if everything happens like that all the time when I'm moving the mouse or looking around in the game, that's why. So while we don't have the original installation, unfortunately.
Well, look, there's also a lot of delay in the Elgato capture. Wait. There's a lot of delay. So you got my joystick right here. Oh, God. Yeah, it looks really bad on screen. Oh god. Oh dude, that's pretty bad. Look at this one. Like on my screen, obviously it looks alright. I think there's also a little bit of delay because I have it running through the Elgato, but I mean, hey. I hope the gameplay looks fine. And I hope it sounds fine. Hopefully the audio isn't desynced from the actual clip as well, or the actual footage. Fuck man, that's COD timing.
Okay, well that's not entirely true. It was on an Office Depot demo PC, totally even the new machine for all this. And the games were small enough that I actually remember copying some of them and taking them home. Don't tell anyone. Yeah, look at that. It's only 2 megs for absolutely everything. I remember having Battle Zone and Missile.
Amass. Your aim is ass! Your aim is not good.
DOS game, or rather, attempt to.
Oh, mass.
Well, this is interesting. So these new machines have that integrated crystal sound thing, which will be detected as blasting of various types.
Whoa.
And things will detect whenever you try to run run them, it will either straight up freeze the system or shut down in illegal operation. And the same thing happens in DOS mode. Again, I don't have the original installation. I really wish I did, but yeah, Crystal Sound Fusion is what it's recognized as in here. And it's got the stuff, you know, 220, 388, 51. I cannot get a single game to recognize the actual Sound Blaster portion. Adlib will work. Kind of. More on that in a sec.
I can't even
Sound
actually
Blaster
see, or not. Fuck, what am I saying? I can't actually hear any of the game audio, so I'm playing with no audio. But older games are good and they have radar, so you can do that.
Just it freezes, crashes everything that runs Sound Blaster. So let me go into Adlib. Okay, do you notice anything wrong? Like, it actually sounds okay in terms of, I don't know, FM synthiness, but the pitch is higher. It's completely off. Like, it's an, I don't know, an octave or two or something higher. It's just bizarre. Otherwise, it actually sounds like it's doing a decent job, but, what's with that? Yeah, I mean, at least it doesn't sound like intermittent farts like the E-Machine's E1, and then you got stuff like Doom 2, for instance, will actually open up, but only, well, no, it doesn't anymore. I think I might have tried to get the sound going. It'll only work if you disable the sound or put it to PC speaker. Yeah. And then the PC speaker, it just sounds like garbage. It's very quiet, tinny, terrible.
It's my headset making my fucking hair itchy,
man. In terms of sound. So, if I were to actually be using this for any length of time,
Piss
the
me
very
off.
first thing that I would do would be to put a proper sound card of any kind in here and then just disable the onboard crap entirely. Alright, so here's something else I always like to test. Unreal Tournament. After all, this came out in 1999. The game did. Computers from 2000, so we should be okay, right? So far, so good. It will actually start up only in software rendering. This doesn't have enough capabilities to do direct 3D, it seems. It just goes to a black screen and crashes when I try. Check out the player models. It's so you just get blocks. Everything is made of blocks. Voxel looking dudes. But it is
Get another cheese string opening. Bus. My bad.
playable, and perhaps not as badly as you might think in terms of speed and performance. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty bad, but not as bad as I thought it'd be. Considering we're running purely out of software here. There's that mouse again. See that every time I lift up, it starts raising. Oh, don't know what's going on with that.
My bad. The cheese is just bust. Oh fuck.
Everything being made of blocks, I think, is pretty great. Again, I tried to run it on higher settings in software, and it just like it would load. It'd get to the menu sometimes. Other times, you know, like if I skip the intro demo, but other times, yeah, nothing would even happen. It would just freeze. The system would hang, blue screens, all kinds of fun stuff. But you know, hey, this is totally playable regardless. So if I'd have gotten this computer for free at a Best Buy or whatever with a crap load of rebates, I would have been somewhat satisfied, I guess. Yeah.
I need that
would've been
MP7.
okay. All right, so another one here. Let's try this optical drive out. Pretty slow, but at least it opens and closes. It closes much quicker, but anyway. Still not entirely sure if this is the original drive or not. I've seen a number of other photos of these 566s with this drive in it. So it might actually be original to it, just they maybe replaced it with a more generic one instead of the one that was shaped with the roundedness on the front. I don't know. I would like the rounded one though, just to match the case a bit. So, Moto Racer, love this game. Yeah.
Oh my god, man.
Love that name thingy. And yeah, it's pretty much ideal kind of game to play on a system of this speed. From a few years before the system came out, so yeah, running in Direct 3D, it's very quick and very satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I was still playing this game in the year 2000, so...
That noise is annoying as fuck.
In November of 1998, E-Machines did something rather ridiculous in the world of computer manufacturing. They started selling PCs at nearly half the cost of the competition, while making bold claims of a computer that was never obsolete. Just 6 months later, they'd overtaken companies like Apple, Packard Bell, and Dell for the title of fourth largest computer manufacturer in the United States. But nowadays, the E-Machine brand is long gone, with tons of their products ending up as computer carcasses littering thrift stores and recycling centers everywhere. What happened? This is LGR Tech Tales, where we take a look at noteworthy stories of technological inspiration, failure, and everything in between. This episode tells the tale of E-Machines computers. The story of E-Machines begins in early 1980s South Korea with a company called Tri-Gym. They were the country's first native personal computer manufacturer,
What the fuck is this,
selling
like,
machines
area?
like the SE-8001
I wasn't
and
even paying
various
attention.
Apple II clones. After seeing success at home, they partnered with Seiko Epson in Japan and changed their name to Tri-Gym Computer, establishing themselves in the PC marketplace in that corner of the globe. Simultaneously, another South Korean tech startup was getting off the ground in another part of the country, known as Korea Data Systems. They were founded in 1983 and largely manufactured display hardware like TVs and computer monitors. By the time the 90s rolled around, both Tri-Gym and KDS had seen their fair share of independent success, with their respective products complementing each other quite nicely. They decided to join forces in 1998 and expand deeper into the international PC market than ever before. The result was E-Machines, founded in September of 1998. They were a computer company built on the idea of selling low-cost computers and capitalizing on the internet gold rush. The first part of their plan was simple, but clever. By studying the revolutionary inventory
I like you
strategy
might go
of
get
Dell
another fucking
and
Nature
the
Valley bar.
retail distribution habits of
With the
Hewlett-Packard,
honey,
E-Machines
this
kept
tastes so good.
supply and demand in check to an insane degree. The result was a family of computers priced no higher than $600 and as low as $399, at a time where most of their competitors were selling for twice that or more. Granted, they didn't come with a monitor, but oh look how convenient. KDS made monitors and they provided them cheaply when bundled with E-Machines. The next part of their plan was tapping into the ongoing internet craze that had everyone clamoring onto the information superhighway. If you only signed a long-term contract with a specific internet service provider at $19.99 a month, you would get another huge discount on your brand new e-machines. This contract also included a free upgrade to a new PC every 2 years under a program known as the eMachines Network, and is what the infamous Never Obsolete sticker referred to. So no, they weren't claiming that all you'd ever need was 32 megs of RAM and Windows 98, but they were slightly twisting words into an eye-catching claim in order to advertise an upgrade plan. All of this worked like a charm, with eMachines becoming the 4th largest PC brand in the US, just behind the giants of Compaq, HP, and IBM. This led to the company filing an initial public stock offering in March of 2000, which seemed like a good move, but unfortunately for them proved to be a bit of a disaster. You see, eMachines sold their computers so cheaply that profit margins were thin, and they were built even more cheaply, which meant that return rates were high. Another roadblock was a lawsuit by none other than Apple Computer in 1999. Apple had introduced their landmark iMac G3 computer the previous year, and eMachines sought to capitalize on this by way of a cheap knockoff known as the E1. This ran Windows and cost far less, but it was specifically made to look and feel like an iMac, so much so that the court sided with Apple, and eMachines was forced to pull it from store shelves and pay an undisclosed sum. By December of 2000, they were reporting a $219 million loss, and NASDAQ was threatening to delist their fancy new stock offerings entirely. Even after hiring a new CEO and firing 16% of their employees, they were delisted from the stock exchange in May of 2001. Things were looking grim. Enter Mr. Lap John Hui, former president
Gotta
of
make sure
KDS
my mic
and
is
one
in the
of the
proper
founders
position.
of eMachines. John decided that enough was enough and struck a deal in 2001 to buy back eMachines and take the company private once again. Now, with freedom from shareholders and under new leadership, eMachines decided to drastically overhaul the company in 2 ways, the first being customer service and the second being supply chain optimization. With customer service, it was a combination of hiring more competent staff and reducing the number of steps a customer would need to take in order to get help. Even things as simple as putting the serial number on the front of the computer case instead of the back, and reducing the amount of pre-installed bloatware just made things easier for everyone. As for optimizing supply chains, they took ideas from the Japanese auto manufacturing operations, using a relatively small number of modular components that could be reconfigured into an entire line of computers. They also worked closely with their retailers to ensure that only the precise number of computers needed would be built, so they wouldn't end up with warehouses full of unwanted crap. Another win for eMachines came in December 2003 with the release of their T6000 desktop, the world's first mass-marketed AMD Athlon 64-based system. This was not only a 64-bit CPU in a world dominated by 32-bit stuff, which often made them faster than Intel's processors, but they also cost far less. All of this led to a golden age for eMachines, with 9 straight quarters of profitability leading to $1.1 billion in revenue in 2003. So where did they go? Well, Gateway is responsible, sort of. Gateway was a competitor that made computers and other things, and they were doing terribly, but they ended up purchasing eMachines in January of 2004. How? Well, it was kind of an unusual deal where Gateway paid eMachines $290 million in cash and stock, but the catch was that the executives from eMachines would take over operating Gateway in an attempt to return them to profitability while simultaneously expanding the eMachines brand with Gateway's retail presence. Exactly how all that went down is perhaps a story for another time, but they managed to stick around long enough for Acer to purchase Gateway and in turn eMachines in 2007. But while Gateway computers still hang around as a rebadged Acer in 2016, the days of the eMachines brand were numbered. During the 2013 Consumer Electronics Show, Acer announced that eMachines was no more. And just like that, so ends the story of eMachines. They were never particularly special computers, at least on the surface. In fact, they had a reputation for being badly made for almost their entire existence. But they were the first computer for tons of people with all sorts of income levels, and as a result had an immeasurable effect on growing the market share of Windows PCs and internet adoption rates alike. So while they may have been the ultimate example of ubiquity paired with mediocrity, E-Machines is worth remembering, either because you had one and have fond memories yourself, or just as an influential point in tech history. The TI-83. Chances are, if you've been in high school or college sometime since 1996, you've had at least one experience with it or one of its TI-80-something siblings. But the question is, why? Why is it that, in America especially, Texas Instruments graphing calculators are so ubiquitous? And why do they still cost $100 or more in an age where apps and websites outperform them? Well, the answer lies back in 1985. The large-scale calculator wars of the 1970s were over, but the biggest players were still competing for the niche markets of science and education. It was in '85 that Casio released the first commercially available graphing calculator, the FX7000G. The appeal of the graphing calculator was its capability of plotting graphs, go figure, in addition to the scientific functions of competing devices. It was also programmable, letting users create their own automated calculations and detailed graphs. In 1986, Sharp released their own version of the graphing calculator, the EL5200, and that same year, the scientific calculator wizards at Hewlett-Packard did the same with the HP28C. But curiously, Texas Instruments didn't get into the graphing calculator game until 1990 with the TI-81. And there's a good reason for that too. So, here's the setup. Texas Instruments basically invented the handheld 4-function calculator in 1967 and continued to innovate throughout the 70s, so they were well known in the United States for being the go-to calculator company. But it wasn't until 1986 that something changed the course of education history. The state of Connecticut submitted an order for 10,000 TI calculators all at once. Well, that got TI to stand straight up and take notice, but more on that in a moment. Because simultaneously, there was a growing debate over the use of calculators in the classroom, especially with the advent of graphing calculators. Those opposed to them assumed they would result in lower quality learning, with students simply calculating the results and ignoring key concepts. Those in favor saw graphing calculators as eliminating the need to waste time with paper and pencil computation and instead focus on developing real conceptual understanding. As the debate continued, the Calculator and Computer Pre-Calculus Project, or C2PC, began at Ohio State University in 1988, designed to provide professional instruction for educators on how to integrate calculators into the classroom. C2PC proved successful in turning the tide in favor of graphing calculators in schools, expanding to other college campuses and even a yearly national conference, renaming themselves to Teachers Teaching with Technology, or T3, in 1992. And guess who the largest financial backer of the program was at that point? You guessed it, Texas Instruments. So let's go back to 1986 and that massive order of calculators. Well, you see, at that time, the folks in Texas decided to look into the educational market hardcore because obviously there was a huge demand. But the debate over whether or not these things could even be allowed in the classroom had them waiting until the right time to even release one. The right time quickly became apparent in 1989 with the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics proposing the curriculum of evaluation standards for school mathematics. This called for the national standardized use of classroom calculators, from 4-function calculators in kindergarten to graphing calculators in high school. With this set to go into effect in 1991, it was time for TI to take action. At that point, Casio's machines were the most common graphing calculator in schools, so Texas Instruments based their TI-81 design on the existing Casio design, while tweaking and expanding on its capabilities to set themselves apart. So that helped ease people into these new machines, but the truly brilliant move was that they already had the influential T3 program on their side. Texas Instruments in turn used this influence to push their own products in the name of education, with T3 becoming known colloquially as the Church of TI. They also had a highly circulated newsletter, online news group, scholarship programs, workshops, and a hotline called 1-800-TI-CARES that proved hugely effective in making TI machines the most comfortable choice. They also used this influence to get their products shown in tons of school textbooks, with steps on how to solve problems exclusively showing TI calculators on the pages. This influencing of teaching standards has also ended up creating a resistance to change in the following years, because a generation of students and teachers are so used to using TI calculators at this point that switching to something new seems downright disruptive. The result was a near monopoly on the graphing calculator market, with many schools adding TI hardware to their supply lists and standardized testing boards using TI calculators as one of the few sanctioned devices. Not only that, but due to the larger marketing presence, competing calculators became thought of as cheaper, inferior devices, even though they were often more capable than TI's offerings. And even in the current day, where apps and websites can easily one-up a graphing calculator, the fact is that most schools and testing places don't allow these during tests due to concerns of cheating and the like, so the domination of TI continues. Of course, this is all rather simplified, but this is basically why a calculator with hardware that's barely changed in 20 years still costs a premium, why schools require them even when it shuts out some lower income students, and why there's just one brand that, as of 2014, controls 93% of the market. So apparently there's something to be said for money, influence, and marketing, and Texas Instruments is a prime example. You know, the best part about these calculators was just putting games on there. I put Tetris on mine and Snake and all that stuff. I need to do a video on that sometime in the future. I mean, you could do it with Casios too, but it was the TI stuff that had the most programs, which was another bonus if you were like me and like hacking these things and whatnot. But if you enjoyed this video, then...
Yeah, I have a TI Inspire, CAS, CAX, whatever the fuck it's called. CAS, CX, whatever the fuck it's called. That is the most goated calculator ever. That's the reason I didn't learn any math, low-key, in high school.
Nowadays, being able to use a device to crunch numbers is taken for granted. And yet, only a generation ago, personal electronic calculators were the hot item, with hundreds of manufacturers selling thousands of different models. During the 1970s, there was an all-out war for industry domination among manufacturers, but today, you've only got a handful of companies making dedicated calculators. What happened? This is LGR Tech Tales, where we take a look at noteworthy stories of technological inspiration, failure, and everything in between. This episode tells the tale of the 20th century calculator wars and how it shaped the tech world today. Humans have been using objects to assist in solving mathematical equations for millennia, from counting boards to the abacus to the slide rule. But this story really begins in the mid-20th century, where mechanical calculators were the norm, and anything electronic used thousands of vacuum tubes and took up the space of an entire room. By the 1960s, though, progress in vacuum tube miniaturization allowed for powerful electronic computation in a much smaller form factor. A landmark device that took advantage of this was the Sumlock Anita Mark VII in 1961. The first all-electronic desktop calculator. It cost nearly $1,000, or around $8,000 today, adjusting for inflation, putting it well out of the reach of the average consumer and ensuring that only larger businesses could afford it. Around the same time, other calculator manufacturers started using transistors instead of tubes inside of their desktop calculators, such as Sharp Corporation with their Compet CS10. These were even more expensive than the Anita at around $2,500 in 1964 and wasn't any more powerful, but their use of transistors laid the foundation for a revolution. Enter the Caltech by Texas Instruments in 1967. A transistor-based calculator that could
I'm
add,
fucking tweaking
subtract,
out.
multiply, and divide, and even print results to a paper tape, yet remain small
I'm
enough
fucking
to
tweaking
hold
out,
in
dude.
your
I don't know what I'm
hand.
doing.
Granted, it was only a prototype and still had to be plugged into a power outlet to work, so it wasn't truly portable, but it paved the way for the future. One of the first companies to capitalize on this idea of a legit handheld calculator was Sharp once again, in partnership with Rockwell Semiconductor. They introduced the QT-8D in Japan in 1969, which was the first mass-produced calculator to rely entirely on integrated circuits, or ICs, based on metal oxide semiconductor technology. Likewise, Texas Instruments, in partnership with Canon, released the Canon Pockettronic in 1970, based on the earlier Caltech prototype. But Sharp's machine had to be plugged into a wall for power and cost a couple grand, and while Canon's did run on a special battery, it didn't have a display and could only print results to paper. Both companies addressed these drawbacks eventually, but it was Busicom that got there first. In 1970, Business Computer Corporation, or Busicom, introduced the LE-120 Handy, using the cutting-edge MOSTEC MK6010 inside. This combined all four functions with decimal points and the ability to drive an LED display, all on a single 4.6mm square chip. This made things smaller and required less power than ever, resulting in its ability to run on just 4 AA batteries.
Yo, let's get it.
This
I'm
was
gonna go
the
reload up.
dawn of the pocket calculator. Think about it. Never before had humanity possessed that kind of convenient computational ability on the go. No more being tied to a desktop or a power source. Now you can just whip out this little device and have it quickly and precisely figure out complex problems. The benefits were obvious to anyone who used math in their work, but the problem was that these early pocket calculators were still bulky and expensive. The former issue was addressed by Sinclair Radionics and their executive in 1973, measuring less than half an inch thick and weighing just 70 grams. However, the price was still way up there at the equivalent of $1,100 today. Sinclair addressed this second problem in a matter of months, introducing the Cambridge calculator at half the price of the executive. This, combined with decreasing cost of components, prompted a race to the bottom in terms of pricing, with one of the biggest shots fired coming from National Semiconductor in 1973 with the Model 600. While most companies were still selling calculators for around $100, the Model 600 cost only $29.95, an unbelievable price for the time. 15 million pocket calculators were sold in 1973 alone, and the calculator wars were in full swing. Commodore Business Machines was one of those that really entered the fray with a good punch to the gut to everyone else with their 776M calculator at only $20, and then Texas Instruments went even lower, with the TI 2550 costing only $10 in 1974. The number of companies creating calculators during this time was staggering. Hundreds of manufacturers worldwide creating thousands of models of calculators, all competing for the same increasingly saturated market. Pocket calculators went from being a luxury status symbol of sorts to an everyday bargain bin device available anywhere, anytime. But while the profits were dwindling in the mainstream space, another battle was just beginning thanks to Hewlett-Packard. Pocket calculators were nifty little toys, but they couldn't do any real mathematics. Where were the trigonometric, logarithmic, and exponential functions? You still had to use a slide rule if you wanted to perform this kind of stuff, or get an expensive desktop calculator like the HP 9100A, and the engineers at Hewlett-Packard saw an opening here. In 1972, they released the HP 35, the first scientific pocket calculator. Texas Instruments struck back with the less expensive SR-10, which wasn't a true scientific calculator but cost less than HP's. A couple years later, TI released the SR50 to match the HP 35, prompting HP to crank it up a notch with the HP 65, which had a magnetic card storage solution with room for 100 keystroke instructions. This prompted another little battle between manufacturers for the programmable calculator market, out of the reach of most people just because of the cost, but nonetheless companies like Commodore followed suit with the SR 1400 and relative newcomer Casio with the FX10. While the consumer market was busy driving prices into the ground and coming up with gimmicks like wrist calculators to keep people interested, scientific calculators became the final battlefield for the war. By the time the late 70s were rolling around, the calculator wars were coming to a close. The big three companies stayed big, mostly fighting among themselves over the new world of graphing calculators starting in 1985 thanks to Casio. And hundreds of smaller companies left the pocket calculator industry entirely due to meager profits, with some going into making digital watches instead, or even taking a gamble on the next big tech war, microcomputers. In fact, the calculator wars led so directly to personal computers coming about that you can't have one without the other. The development of ICs and calculators on a chip in the 1960s allowed for the development of the backbone of the personal computer revolution, the microprocessor. Without all of that money funneling into building smaller and cheaper calculators, you can effectively say goodbye to the 8-bit computer uprising. In fact, many of those calculator manufacturers went straight into making personal computers, since many of those components were shared between the types of systems and businesses were replacing desktop calculators with computers anyway. The modern information age
fucking
got
suck.
such a jump start from the calculator wars that it's bizarre that it isn't discussed in any more depth than it is. But hey, that's the point of LGR Tech Tales, and I hope you enjoyed this look back into the history of tech. I've got many other episodes in this series on my channel, 2 of which are linked to right here, and there are other videos every Monday and Friday coming out here on LGR, so subscribe if you care. Also, feel free to get in touch on Twitter and Facebook to suggest future episode topics or just discuss others that I've already done or whatever. And there's also Patreon if you would like to help the show grow even more and catch a glimpse of videos before they go public. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Don't divide by 0. Boo.
Was one of them calculators? So I can all hear you clapping and cheering with boo, mate, boo, calculators suck. I don't care. Now I'm gonna unsub, resub so I can unsub again. To which I cheerily reply with, you sit down right now, mate. You're gonna get your freak show. You'll see a nugget. Have I let you down before? Besides, this is all Clint's fault from LGR. Been following that channel for 10 years, and he's covered the handheld calculator wars. Early computers
Crossover.
just crunch numbers. That's all they did. And a calculator was a pocketable version of that. I mean, you could argue that the smartphone and all that business traces back to these handheld boards right here. So many modern computer companies getting their start with calculators and then moving to the big desktop boards. Clint's gotten doomed to run on one of these. Yeah, calculator world would be deep, mate. So it's fun to think that this is like the ultra history of the PC. And like, it goes all the way back to like the abacus, which is just a name that I enjoy. That's a nice early way to keep track of numbers, mate. Just slide some beads a bit. But I want to stick to counting machines. And this first, I don't know if this is gonna fit. Oh man. No, it doesn't. Oh, the poor iPad. I don't know what year this is, but I'm guessing it's got to be 50s and earlier. Down here are the digits, and it's not working right. Oh, a little bit? No, the handle doesn't work properly. It's called a Burroughs. It weighs a ton. Look, the casing is broken, and look how it's cast. It's like a transmission housing on an old F100 truck. It is so heavy. This thing was really cheap. I don't need one of these. And maybe it'd be fun to pull open one day, see if there's something very simple wrong with it. I'm guessing not. Not a good example, that lad. I mean, we would call that in the trade thrashed. Best way to get a good example of what they look like and how they did things, might find a brochure. Oh, baby. Sell me this beige nugget right here. I think this is 60s. I'm just gonna have a guess. Ask Scott, mate, for technical progress in the office. Oh man, it's got red and black ink. It's almost as high tech as one of those tricolor Bic pens. High speed adding listing machine. Mate, I'd believe it. Look how aerodynamic it looks. Cuts through the office air like a like a big brick, really. Oh, mate, read these stunning features. Escorter, adding and lifting machines, add. Whoa. Subtract.
That's
Whoa.
fun.
Above and below 0. Those are dimensions I didn't know existed. Oh, there's more. Oh, wow. Microsoft Excel, eat your heart out, mate. Well, there you go. That's how they made big stinky invoices back then. Looks like a giant phone. What a stunner. So I made sure to find one out with a big PC name to prove my point earlier. Mate, it's a HP. Look at this lovely leather guy it's in. I don't even know if it is actually leather. And yeah, the Hewlett-Packard 12C. Now, I know it works. It turns on, and it's got really good memory because that's what I put into it like stinking ages ago the first time I tried to use it. And there's the little thing, like, tried to use it. Look, I mean, I just wanted to do some, 2 plus 2 is 2. Obviously, I don't know how to use it, right? I'm sure someone could just go like, oh, just, it's right there, you stinking idiot. I mean, what, is FC? No. No, okay, the F won't go away now. What? No, it's a G now. Stop. No? I don't know how to use it. I don't know how to do simple 2 plus 2 addition. Like, amort? Oh no, now it's a 1. Oh, that just turns it on. I can't even turn it on and off again to get rid of the 5. X! Oh no, now the 1's over there, and... Hell, stop! Amort! Ooh, what was that? I amorted too much. I mean, I'm guessing like this was trying to do a lot of really crazy scientific stuff in what is like very slim and compact. It's super light. It runs on like button cells. Oh, it tells you how to amort. But this is literally a simple calculator that I don't know how. I'm gonna try once more. On. Oh, look at that mess. Okay, let's just get rid of that.
Fuck. God damn it.
Oh, I know. Let's divide by 0. Let's wipe it. Yeah. Did that do it? 5 plus 5 plus 10. Do it there. Plus, no, let's times that by 2. Oh, what was that? Oh. I give up. More. So you guys are cussing my channel. You want a nugget. Well, I found one for you. So I bought this one. A big part of it is the aesthetic. It is beautiful. I don't know if it works and I don't care because I bought it for the name. Feast your eyes on the nugget boy. That is the Zenny. Now, I know electronics like age over time and they turn this color. I bet you it was meant to be white. But you can just feel the budget. It weighs nothing, and I mean it. It is a very simple calculator. I'd expect nothing more from the Zenny. I mean, just think this is the 811th go at it, mate. I'd hate to try a Zenny 1. You know it's an old boy, because it's made out of crap. Oh no! Did I break my Zenny? It's fine. Oh, that's corroded. Oh no. But you know it's an old boy because it takes 4. I have a whole army of brand new boys. My brand new boys. You better work in my Zenny. I can see already it's like one of those green vacuum whatever displays. You know, it would be akin to like an old microwave. Okay.
I bet when the microwave dropped back in the day, like that was like the same effect like the air fryer is having now. Like, it's like generational, dude.
Come on! It's like I'm rescuing a dying animal here. Dude, it worked! It worked! I did it! I've done it! I've resurrected the Zenny! Come on, yes! That was a technique I invented just that very I'm gonna leave this off because I might have to finagle some more. Guys, we can use the Zenny 2 plus 2 HP outclassed by the dead Zenny. Oh, I actually like the display. It's reasonably bright. Look at that number 4. Oh, I can clear it? Okay, what about 110.9?
Who the fuck got a Moab, dude?
23.
That's just insane.
Whatever, 0.1. That's a big number, and I don't care if it's right or not. Alright, do they all work? Oh, hang on, I ran out of... Hang on. Every number works. Oh, did you give me an extra 9 there?
Oh, I realized it doesn't end the game.
Oh, it's because it's stuck. It's okay. Oh, the Zenny. my brand new nug. It's not brand new. It's actually give me my give them back. Did you like that technique there? Eh? Oh, there's Zenny everywhere. So this last one is the golden child. It's the one that I actually bought that made me look for the other ones, including the Zenny. And I wanted like a proper professional desktop calculator. I mean, the ones in the 80s and 90s, look at those beige beauties. But I was looking for one that had something special. 1971
Fuck off.
Frieden EC111H. And right, it barely fits and it's fine. Beautiful thing. You absolutely need to plug it into the wall. I had to have this because of the display. Are you ready for Nixie tubes? Yes. Since this is the calculator that started my little collection here, this is all technically Techmoan's fault because he introduced me to Nixie tubes, where each number is a filament, and you can see the numbers sit raised up or lower down. Like Techmoan covered these, and then like, you know, sharing that in Monsters Inc. That's what the numerals are. Like, they're all Nixie tubes. And in 1971, this was a $600 calculator. You put that in today's money, that is a $4,000 calculator. Oh, and it's got Nixies. But check this, a handle. So you can just lug your big singer about. It does the simple guy stuff. 2 + 2 be the 4. And you ready? You can just get rid of it. HP. I can just do this all day and just watch the numbers turn up. It's so stinking neat. When I'm picking up something high-end like that, I really love trying to get the manual. Treasure trove. I mean, it literally tells you how to use it properly. 12 digits, decimals, those weird knobs here, that's so you can move the decimal point across. This switch here is so you can round numbers up and down. Then, you know, it's got the program dial, which just freaks me out. I'm not a maths guy. I studied jazz. But doing some reading up on this, it was made like with these extra features in it for, you know, proper heavy business users. Constant position in this mode, the second entry in multiplication or division becomes a constant. Whoa, look at it go, man. It's showing you the, like, problem. These crappy numbers are 2 crappy numbers. Let's make it 1 crappy number. That's how they did it. Whoa, invoices, business. I mean, I know basic calculators have just been replaced by phones, which is great. It's just a quick bonk and you've got a calculator, eh? Take that, teachers. You always told us.
I always loved the way the gun view model like moved when you spin it.
Do the job that they set out to do perfectly. This thing works absolutely 100%. And as just a quick addition guy in the house, like, this is so much fun. You just walk up, turn it on, and off you go. That's why I love vintage headphones so much. It's so much fun just experiencing just how things were back then. And maybe you find that it never stopped being good. Oh, come with me, heavy beast. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Huge thanks to my patrons, especially these stinky names right here, mate, because $1 a month, I direct some videos. Now, on the whole vibe of, like, vintage things still doing the job they always did with just that bit of style and flair that's timeless. This is, I believe, a 70s Polaroid SX70 camera. Yeah, what a beast. So, yeah, I want to show you some of the epic photos I've taken and just talk about something that's super old and still just super captivating. So, thanks so much, and mate, I'll see you soon.
I needed
There we go.
Dad phones. Whoa, you bet dads held on to these as long as they could, right? Because dads just did 2 things with their phones, right? Receive calls and hang up on calls. I remember back in the day, waiting for my dad to pick me up from school. I'd send him a text, "Where are you, old mate?" My phone would ring and him going, 5 minutes. Like, he would never text. Nokia 5190. This big old boy came out in 1998. Look, it's still got its like screen protector on it. Amazing. It's a total brick nugget. What I like is it shows the controls evolve into the 3310, which is like the Nokia so many
double hit
people
marker.
recognize. But the phone we're actually looking at today is 2 years older than
No god
this
timing,
guy.
come on.
I'm gonna go and grab it now, but
Come on,
like,
I know you're there.
Laugh. Okay, it was revolutionary and it blew the world apart in 1996.
Oh my god, dude.
Year 2000, 1998, 1996. It's a shoe. It's like a child's shoe. Look, the earpiece and microphone are back here.
The hand model honestly looks really good, dude.
Ooh, those were the days. So, I
The
played
animation?
with that thumbnail, right? email, web browsing, spreadsheets, all that. Yes, this guy can do it. And you looking at this dingus screen going, well, I mean, I guess it's a bit bigger than this old mate here, but like, you're kidding me, right? We're not gonna browse Wikipedia on this year. You are so not ready for what I'm gonna do. You are so not ready. Sit down. You need to sit down. I said, sit there. Whoa! All of a sudden, it went from King Chungus to, okay, that's actually pretty baller. And you ready for this weird antenna? It goes, woo! Mate, you are now an unstoppable computing powerhouse. I mean, 1996, this is worse than a Fitbit nowadays. I mean, I saw a lot of articles saying that this was basically the first guy where you got like a portable keyboard, display, email, web browsing, all in one guy. This would have inspired the first Blackberries. And back in the day, mate, this would have set you back in today's money about $2,000, which is what flagships cost now anyway. So you know what? Swings and roundabouts. Now, before we start yelling at it, I did score it in its box. I'll explain this trash in a minute. Gotta look at the booklets real quick because this was big business phone. Ew. I hate proprietary software disks. Yeah, I don't think I actually have a computer old enough to run this. I mean, this shows you how big business this guy was. It has a CD with it. If you had a CD drive at this point, you were a baller. There it is, being a shoe. Communications enabled card files. Oh god, I'm dizzy from just being so excited from that feature. Yes! 90s businessman! That computer right there really helps you sum up how old this thing is. Windows 95 was the latest Windows. Look, you can do spreadsheets on this nugget. Does it show any web browsing? More spreadsheets? Accessories guide. Yeah, the weird charging arrangement, which I will show you, and I despise. I think it's the jankiest, crappiest thing. Fax modem. You can send faxes from this. It actually is amazing. The term smartphone didn't happen for ages, but I mean, this guy's pretty clever. Oh, accessories. Come on, sail me up the river. A bigger bat. Okay. Hang on, these are the things that are already in here. A separate battery charger. I'm guessing so you can have one on the charger, one on the thing. Right, hey, this cable. I saw this in the box. Before I read anything about it, I'm just looking at it going, who is this for? Who needs, like, a tiny little headphone jack to whatever the stink this thing is? How are these two compatible in any way? What is it? You can connect the communicator to a PC, either through the infrared link. No one wants to use infrared. One of my first phones had infrared. It never works. It's literally a format where dust can slow down your data transfer. So somehow the phone can literally, this is a serial port? Right, so it sends data down a tiny little headphone jack. I just don't like that. I don't support it. But it is nice to be reminded of the power that hides in the headphone jack. Come on, boys. Come on. High quality carrying case. Convenient and stylish. I wish this did have the carrying case, but it would only make it bigger. Hands-free card kit. No one bought that because everyone just held it to their face because no one cared. And what's the... Oh, all right. This is the proper manual. Internet. I have to see it. Whoa! That sums it up right there. Boom. That's how old this thing is, man. That's why I was like, wow, a CD? That's big swinging business. Don't have a computer with a floppy drive yet. All right, internet, 7-1. I just want to see some screenshots because I know I'm not going to be able to do it myself. Mail settings, reading. Actually, that looks pretty good. If it looks anything like that. World Wide Web. No one calls it the web anymore. Oh, is that the internet?
Ooh, level 69, let's
go.
go.
Is that what it looks like? Telnet. Oh, I wanted screenshots. Notes. Calendar. Oh, system. Whack. So, all I've done with this guy is plug it in and see if it turns on. That's it. I really do want my first impression to be right here with you guys. But look at this, right? Here's the charger that it came with. UK plug, probably the best plug that exists on the planet. Good length on the cable. They give you one of these. Pretty typical for the Nokias. Well, where do I plug it in? Well, you take this janky piece of crap that feels like nothing with its hook end on it. So you hook it in like that, and then you can plug it in. This much amazing engineering, and you can't get it. You can't get this right. It's just so weird and fragile feeling. I hate it.
All right, we're arming a nugget.
Yeah, there we go. And this battery's actually good. All right, are you ready for... All right, you get to experience this properly. Look at this. It's a bit dim, but in real life, it's really clear. I can't turn off the lights to stop the glare because there is no backlight, I don't think. Is there? Hang on, let's see. There is no. Okay, it's not a touch screen. It is not a touch screen. So, oh, there's a help button. Mom, help. Call it. Shut up. Phone turned off. How could that be a note when I'm reading it on the phone? Check phone. This is the phone. Come on, where's the funny things? I honestly have no idea how to do anything on this. I'm an idiot. It's right here. Internet. www. It sends you straight to Club Nokia. Yeah, fetch it. Don't make that tone with me. Calendar, let's put in our busy schedule. 1980, to-do list. Tell Frank. Thanks. Man, this thing actually controls great. It types alright. I actually don't hate it. It's so big and heavy that you can actually lean into it. Oh, and this is from tearing my finger open during my drum streams that I do on Twitch. And that's what all these calluses are from 20 years of playing. Look, it's got a dad on it for this dad phone episode. It actually scrolls pretty quick. All right, December 1980. Let's go Christmas Day, which is a Thursday. At midday, Merry Chungus. Oh, that says say Merry Chungu, Frank, and I actually prefer that. And look, it's got a little dude saying that I've put something there. Say Merry. Considering I haven't read the manual or used this thing ever, this actually works totally fine. What system? Here we go. Fax modem. So exciting. Backup, import, data removal. Oh, mate, we got 1.8 megabytes of memory free. Wow, what a nugget. About this product. Go on. Oh. So I was expecting an image. That's awesome. Look at that. Copyright 94 to 97. HP. Yep, HP's been at it for ages. Where are the ringtones? I need to be the person on the school bus who has to go through every single one of them. Settings.
Cool.
Ringing settings. Oh, ringing tone. Come on. Yeah, I want a banger. Oh, my pixel. Oh, classic. That's so 90s. Oh!
UAV online.
That's the oldest version of this I've ever heard. What an incoherent ditty. The Entertainer? Well, that's the one I want. Oh, that was cute. And that's as loud as it goes, by the way. It's quiet. Next to the help button, we've got extras. There better be a stinking game on this thing. Oh, calculator. There you go. That's the Game Boy of the business world. Seeing this paper adding machine here. Clear list. Go away. Oh, jeez. Bob McClock. There you go. Like, these are games in the business world. I mean, composer, though. Okay, well, let's... Wait, we're gonna compose The Entertainer. Whoa! Whoa! Wow! Edit? Can I ruin it? I can! I can ruin it! I can make my own awful, awful song. Duration. Oh, wow. Okay. Alright, I got this. I'm just gonna make the most annoying sounding thing. I just want nothing but eighth notes because it's the fastest note they'll give me is eighth notes. So that's all I'm having. Nothing but semitones. People love semitones. Give me a second. I need to make something. Okay, I'm very, very proud of myself with what I've done. I've just jotted in this. It was really easy to do. It's actually amazing in 96. Here you go.
UAV online.
Oh, I'm so proud of myself. Well, I hope they had a game on it, and it has my favorite kind, music composition. That was fantastic. That was too much fun. Well, I took a look to see if I can find people doing any web browsing on this thing, because I'm just not clever enough to do that. Guys, I'm a jazz musician turned YouTuber, right? My skill set for this is very low. Considering it was 1996, I didn't have my first lick of the internet until 1998, and I was a super little kid. And so this was 2 years before that. This thing is amazing. It's fun to laugh at its absolute chunky chungusness, but I think it really hides its potential so well. It looks like a disused car phone, and then it literally is a pocketable computer. And I bet there's a whole bunch of dads out there trying to get a hold of these, hoping they can still use them today. Well, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Huge thanks to my patrons, especially these sneaky names on here, because, mate, $1 a month, I do extra videos. So on the topic of smartphones and Nokias and all that, this was my first ever smartphone. And this was one of my favorite phones of all time. It was so reliable. And then I got an N97
Everyone
Mini,
disappeared,
and it was the
dude.
worst phone I ever owned. So we're gonna take a look at this and just smell more stinky ringtones. So thanks so much, mate. I'll see you next time.
Enemy care package incoming.
Frank, that's too cute. Frank, weeks of rehearsals.
Oh look, it's a good accessory. This is actually a cool find. Theo, right? They make like my favorite audio nugget, the BTR5. It got karate chopped at some point. I don't remember that. I'm so sorry, Theo. This really is my favorite audio nugget. I've talked about it in my cheap headphone video just not that long ago if you want to know more about it. But this shows you how long in the game they've been. I mean, this is like an amplifier for the original iPod or iPhone. So I know you're already clicking unsubscribe because you're not here to see good accessories. Mate, you're here for the garbage. So when you got an iPod, I mean, what's the first thing you get for it? Mate, a case. So I mean, here's a normal case a lot of people would have gotten. I mean, no one bought this one. And I only bought it, honestly, because it's called the Action Jacket. Look, it includes everything you need. There's no oxygen or food written there, so I mean, like, guys, we know exactly why no one bought this thing, okay? Like, its flaw is just so apparent. Why isn't it covered in lights that just blink in my eyes and annoy me? Oh my god, mate, like, the accessory of my dreams has come true, mate. It's the Griffin Disco. The pull strip to test it, no one's pulled it. That makes me so happy because it's actually got a dingus's chance of working, and also proof that no one had any interest in this at all. No one even wanted to see it work. This is brand new. No one bought this. Oh dear. Yeah, let me in. Oh goody, my favorite, where most of the box is empty. Okay. Like the quality of the plastic is actually like really good. Like this is a really high quality kind of feeling thing. It's just an awful idea. Let me in. How do I get in? I need instructions how to take it apart, and it's just like use anti-gravity and just make it happen on its own. What do I do? Ah, guys, sheesh. Must not grit immediately. All right, it's got the big dingus and the little dingus sizes. This is a big dingus. Oh, look, it's actually, hang on. Out of all of these that I've got, I think that one's better. It's just gotten like, I hope that's coffee and not cat urine. Of course, my favorite one's this one. Oh, that's a handsome boy, isn't it? To the horde with you. Well, it's literally just a case with a ring of LEDs and some baby bats. Oh, you're kidding.
Fuck, what's going on?
No. Uh-oh. Are the baby bats sad? Because I didn't buy any. It's a chunkster, alright. The quality of plastic is really good. It's really good, but unfortunately...
Also, I love how verbose that top text is at the front. Like, trying to merge our lobby with another. We need to look for 5 players or 6 players. Like, it's really informative, dude. You need to find 2 more players. Like, look at that. It's so cool.
The case isn't doing it. What if we take him out and put him back in?
Why are fuckers leaving, man? Come on. Why are people leaving?
Baby bats. I want my baby bats. Oh, door! It just closed itself. What? What kind of voodoo magic was that? I can't give it. I couldn't even change the batteries if I wanted to. I'm starting to learn why no one bought this. I'm starting to learn, all right. Oh, I don't care. Oh, give me my iPod back. Get it. Oh,
I gotta try the instructions. It's not working, guys. It's not doing it. It's like I'm opening an actual iPod, let alone a stupid accessory. Oh, let me in! My iPod's trapped in the disco. It's like those blue light discos you went to as a kid. It's like, doors locked, you're not leaving. Yes! Free! Run! Oh, wow! That shatter's good! Oh, cool. It's like glass now. Oh, my pixel. Can you believe this was brand new and that no one wanted it? Oh, my pixel. Oh, like, yeah, I hear you. That was like a really pointless case. You don't need lights in it that blink in your eyes. Where's the really rugged ones? But not just rugged, but good looking. Rugged, good looking khaki case. It looks so used, yet it's never had an owner. I mean, you can see by like the cardboard packaging, it's just been taken from attic to attic, and that's the most handsome fake iPod.
Are the servers looking dead for
No one
tonight?
wanted this frayed khaki case.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, it's lovely. It's like Dad's footy shorts cut into a case. Oh, it just tucks in. I thought it'd be a button. Come on, give it. Don't worry, we can tell. Whoa! Oh, wow! Wow, I didn't think I'd have a breeding pair. Look, we got these two, and now we got these two hideous beasts. Oh, you two are hitting it off just fine. I remember when iPods had like a quartered pizza for controls.
Dude, one more fucking player. Come on.
Hey, a clip. Being stuck in the disco wasn't bad enough. You gotta be stacking Dad's footy shorts. I like how it blocks off parts of the screen. That's my favorite bit. Is it even built for the iPod video? It is made specifically
Let's
for the
fucking
video
go.
iPod. God, it blocks the borders of the screen. Wow, I have no idea why no one wanted this. I have no idea. So these next accessories, I mean, there's nothing actually wrong with them. They're normal accessories, but they're marketed like a weirdo. It's really hard to understate how like the iPod just took over. If it played music, it was just called an iPod. I mean, look at this. I bought a Dell MP3 dingus. I think it was meant to compete with the Mini. As you can see, it's brand new. No one wanted this. And only upon getting to, I realized that the previous owner scribbled iPod on it. It's so sad. It's like always being in the shadow of your older cousin or something and his success. Like, come on, guys, I'm like my own thing, eh? Stop. Like, I'm in competition with this guy, eh? And just to sell you on how just everything was for iPod, look at this. iPod to stereo RCA.
Fuck you, pussy.
iPod to
Damn.
stereo RCA. iPod. Yeah, I mean, iPod's got a proprietary connector, the 30-pin. But I had no idea that they had the proprietary rights to that too. Hey, this is Pro Series, mate. Hey, this is what the pros are saying. Gecko Gear are Australian, and they actually make really, really nice stuff. I'm so glad I've opened this, because I want to use this cable. I mean, not for iPods, how dare I? But yeah, it's a really crazy chunkster cable with a good length on it. Oh, watch out, Pixels. Mate, it wasn't just Gecko. Look at Belkin, retractable car stereo cable for iPod and iPhone. Works with Nanos, iPod Classics, more Nanos, more iPod Classics, and more iPod Classics in the Mini. I don't see the Samsung yet written anywhere. Huh, maybe they're using a different standard that's using the same plug or something, because I mean, that's only for iPods and iPhones. Ooh. Oh, cool. It's coily and springy. No one tell the police. Whoa. If you thought it ended with aux cables, mate, you're wrong and you owe me an apology. It's the power pack for iPod Shuffle. It's for the iPod Shuffle. It's also known as a stinking USB port. That's all it is. Nah, mate, it's for the Shuffle. I'm being serious. They don't mention that you can literally use this for anything you like. It's the iPod Shuffle, and then that's it. Lifetime warranty. Ooh, maybe we should call them up. Because look, it is brand new sealed. Can you believe no one bought this? Oh, I've got to be careful. It's a collectible.
I am whiffing so fucking hard right now. It's like actually unbelievable.
I mean, it's got a fuse in it. Go you. But does the iPod Shuffle pull that much amps or something? I can only find this.
Look at that card timing.
Green one. Yeah, man, this baby needs a fuse. Look out. Oh, hang on. Yeah. Wow, look at this.
I love breaking the windows in this map.
It's trying to like the Apple ones at the time, and it just doesn't. It's so cheap. There's sprue on everything. What's that? Your Sony Beam needs charging? Well, mate, nah. Even though it fits, it's for iPod Shuffle. You're an idiot. You can't charge your Sony Beam through this. Well, let's prove them wrong. Hey, let's break the law. Oh, mate, if this works, it's going to be super illegal. Oh, my God, mate, it works. What? Hang on. Oh no, I'm poking the bear big time, mate. I've just blown this wide open. It turns out that's not for iPod shuffles, mate. It turns out this has been like a standard before that. Am I the first one to know this? Oh, sure, no. They know now. Pretty sure this bean has Wi-Fi in it. Oh my gosh, don't tell me this works with the bean as well. Dude, it just sticks right out of the dashboard. It's probably cost more than the shuffle. Yeah, what a thing. All right, so we've entered that part of the video where all of these are super early iPod Touch days, you know, when app stores, like, everything had to have an app with it, things that had no right to needing an app. There are some really clever beans out there who could get these old apps running, you know, they know how to do all the business and whatnot. It's just too much time for me to bother. Like, once you see these products, I don't need to use them. Just knowing that they existed makes me happy enough. It's my sorrow and disappointment to show to you the iHealth blood pressure dock. Now, this actually came with an arm squeezy thing. You know, like to actually take your blood pressure. I've just lost it. I don't know where it went. I must have thought it was just garbage laying around and just bend it. But yeah, you use your iPod Touch to test your blood pressure. There's the dingus. No, it's actually in there. Whoa, look at this. That's so funny. Wow, I thought I lost it. Yeah, pretty hardcore, hey. Oh, it stinks. Ugh, that old rubber. The old rubber hose has really got the smells going. I really hope someone wasn't having some serious issues and thought, no, I don't need to go to the doctor. I just need my iHealth and app on my iPod Touch. Dad, you don't have to go to the pokies and waste all of our money destroying the family. You can do that at home. All thanks to the jackpot slots. Charge, sync, play. What? But win what? Like, what do you win? Dazzling real gaming experience. But I mean, where's the crushing disappointment of actual losses? Different slots of varying levels of difficulty to challenge your skills. Yes, your skills at pulling that little red handle. You believe no one bought this? You believe this is brand new? Oh, goody. Wow, an actual prize draw. Get out of here. Okay, to enter, play jackpot slots and achieve goal number of credits, or just complete a mail entry form and send it. No purchase necessary to win. So they've just literally said in the first sentence, you don't need to play it, mate. Oh, New Potato Technologies. How I love that you're called New Potato Technologies. Come on, where's my potato? Oh, that's quality. The fact that they cap off the ends of this and then what you're left with is a very cheap cable. Oh, but those covers dazzled me. Yeah, it's a mini USB cable goodie. I have another one. And yeah, here you go. It's just this. Look, I'm gambling. Oh, no, I see. All that does is eject the... Oh, wow. It's like the real gambling. Yeah, you pull the slot, you get disappointed. And it is like the real thing. Amazing. I recommend this. Everyone, go out and get one. Something I really hate is wasteful packaging. I really hate it. Just so, look at this. This is actually not a bad idea. It's something that Samsung phones had at the time, so this is a bit redundant, which is so that you could use your phone as a remote. You just point at TV, bing, bing. So yeah, cool thing. Free app, great. More things to steal your data. But this is where I have the issue with it. I hope you like plastic waste. Look how big the cavity is with nothing in it. Look, it could fit a duck. It actually fits the duck comfortably. Look, it could rattle around in there. An adult duck could fit in the empty space. Who made this? Oh, it's New Potato again. Alright, fine. I'm gonna show it to you. You've all seen the thumbnail. You saw that hideous beast. You said, I want to see that. Well, they always say, don't meet your heroes. Look at this jangly-armed beast. It's the eye guy. Look, it's like someone's dog got a broken leg and they decided to fix it themselves. Well, it's only a little bit crooked, mate, but it can still dig and poo in the yard, mate. What I enjoy is the only thing they've left exposed are the hideous arms so you can play with them. Play? But all that's done is just become hideously filthy. It's got like a trucker's tan. Only with filth. I love this. Look how crappy the silicone molding is. Look at this big gash in it. Try me, and it's sitting down. Okay, must try it. Oh, it's got an ass on it. It looks like a trainee, like just squatting down. Oh, I'm just gonna fix your NBN here, mate. Just take a minute here, mate. I gave it a bump. It's got a butt crack. Cool toy. Hang on, cool toy. You're not allowed to call it a cool toy. It's your own dingus product. Patent pending. Boys, you don't need the patent. No one's gonna be knocking this off, don't you worry. Let's free the eye guy. Oh no, this is how curses are started, aren't they? All right, I've still got him contained here. Like, there's still a barrier. And let's see what happens. All right. Oh no, he doesn't want to leave. Ew! 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 What is that? Oh! It's like Voldemort! It's got like an evil face on the back. Ew! It's filthy! Ew! Look at it! Look at it! He doesn't want to leave. No! Earth sucks! Don't let me do it! Don't let me do it! Oh gosh, it's like digging up your old dog from 10 years ago just to see him again. Ew! Yeah. This year's been rough to this old girl, mate. And speaking of that, it's nearly the end of this trash year. At the end of the year, I always like to do a big cleanup, and I've been going through my hoard of just this mountain of nuggets, and right at the bottom, and just these delicious bootleg iPods. They've sifted themselves down to the bottom as more relevant and frankly better things have piled in on top. And instead of teasing you with these one at a time, I figured since we're nearly at the end of this year, the trash year, mate, let's have a bootleg bonanza. And hey, we know why these things exist. Back in the day gone, well, hey, Dad, I want an iPod Nano for Christmas. Like, I know they're heaps expensive, but like, I really want it, and that should be a good enough reason for you to get me one. Now, son, what's wrong with your Samsung? Yup! It's even got its original yup bag. Look, it's even got its original yup phones. Oh, I never noticed the old mate's gold hanging off of it. Yuck! Ugh. And let's be reasonable, son. 64 megabytes ought to be enough for anyone. Hey, you could fit the Best of the Eagles album on that, and what more music do you need? Yeah, but Dad, it looks like a space potato. And like, everyone makes fun of me at school and goes like, boy, there's the space potato farmer. Because it looks like a space potato. I mean, Dad, it's the reason why we've moved school 6 times. All right, son, don't you worry. I'll look after you, and I'll save a buck doing it. We've all heard of the term no name. Well, get a vibe of the... Well, I mean, it's called the... Well, I mean, let's check the barcode. Is that the logo? Is that it? Right. That's all we know is just don't put it straight in the bin. Boy, am I tempted. I mean, even this thrash nano, you put it up along this side. It's still like me versus this guy that she says not to worry about. That's silver. It looks like it's made out of like cans. How does this open? Oh, we got a name. MP4 digital player. Huh. Oh, look at this driver disc. Dun, 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 dun. Driver. Maybe it's the PC game driver. Well, let's hope we don't need that. Mini USB. Oh, the stink phones, which actually look like the ones that came with the Lego player and the Nerf one. I'm starting to think these are all intertwined. Well, you know, I've got the mojo standing by to blow them up. So, ooh, this is forked a little bit. It's gotta be luxurious. There it is. Star City, Sydney. Oh, is this like a hotel chain prize or something? Oh, the biggest corporations make the worst crap. Which from Sydney, apparently this should be a beautiful English. It's like borderline toilet paper. On the topic of who owns and makes this thing, thank you for using the MP3 digital player of our company. Like, hey man, what company do you work for? Yes, it's AMV. A patron of mine has actually made this little thing for me to hopefully convert to AMV. So, you know, here's hoping it works. There's nothing wrong with the manual. It just belongs to no one, frankly. I still don't know who made this. Oh boy, yep. Oh look, pre-tangled. Hey, that's how you fix it. You just got that. There you go. As usual, they sound like kids' percussion. Oh, they stink. Like they smell like they've been blown up already. They probably have. Free dog poo bag. Ooh, vented dog poo bag. You gotta share the smells. All right, here it is. Arming the nugget. Eyes up, everyone. Eyes up. Here we go. Can you even see that? Because I can't. It's not appearing on the computer either. Look, it's falling apart. Right out the gates. It's falling apart. Hang on. Look, it's cracked. Oh, look, it's like an ogre. It's got layers. Oh, maybe if we take the screen protector off. Oh dear. Wow, what an undeniable Oh! 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 Yo, it's doing nothing. Quality control 5. Who let this thing pass? Star City, Sydney. Well, I mean, we can quickly smell their headphones. This is called Mojo, amazing DAC, and just stinky headphone amp. The amount of power this thing chucks out. Let's have a sample. You know, funny enough, they're not the absolute worst I've ever heard. They feel like junk in the ears and like they're made out of trash. Desert Island situation? Sure. Like, I give them a good 3 out of 10 because I was expecting to give them a 0. Let's see how loud they go. That's not that loud. Oh wow, they're getting real hot. Oh, they stink. Look at that battery power this guy's harnessing. Shame he's not doing anything useful with it. But I mean, I know what you guys are thinking. Why isn't it a Craig? Well, I mean, you know, we've got the original Craig Nano here, and just frankly, the amazing Craig Pod Touch, which didn't even turn on. But, you know, I guess this style of iPod video player just wasn't really up their alley. Or maybe they just don't stoop this low. They stooped this low. Of course, old mate Craig had to have a go. Oh, it's just reeking of quality, just like the other one. And yes, I know Craig still has a website. Yes, I'm well versed in the lore and story and current progress that is the March of Craig. And of course, we gotta keep this in good condition and put it back when we're done. Remember the day I found my Craig? Oh, it's lovely. Oh, hang on. It wouldn't be a Craig if it wasn't absolutely cut. 2013? That's not that long ago. The usual treasures. Craig, why have you made them inaccessible? Why are you hiding your treasures? Oh, mini USB cable, we don't need another one of them. And these are the most beige looking Craig phones I've ever seen. Oh yeah, that peels off nice. Hey, you know what? The cable to this, not absolute garbage. It's not good, but I mean, again, 3 out of 10. Nice score. Knockoff of the first
Who the fuck
gen
wants to play
Apple
Fallen,
earbuds.
dude?
You know, like
Over
lightning
Arcaden?
headphones were out when this thing was made. Usual protocol, everyone. Stand back. I'm arming the nugget. Here it goes. Here we go. Is that the same loading as the other one? Craig. Yeah, Craig. Well, we've gotten further with this one than the other one. All right, it's appeared on the Mac. I'm going to drag some junk into it and see if it works.
Yesterday. The largest model has 70 billion parameters. It is July 20th, 2023, and you're watching the Code Report. I'm old enough to remember the good old days, when I could ask ChatGPT how to build a large-yield nuclear weapon, and it'd say, sure, here's a step-by-step manual. But nowadays, it won't even tell you how to cook rice, because cooking is an extremely dangerous process that could result in harm to yourself and others. Many GPT-4 power users have accused its performance of degrading over time, and according to a new study, there may be some truth to that. But first, we need to talk about Llama 2, a new family of large language models released by Meta in a surprise partnership with Microsoft yesterday. The largest model has 70 billion parameters and a context length of 4,000 tokens. It's not quite as powerful as GPT-4 Palm 2, but its killer feature is that it's been released with a commercial license. You can download the model and start using it right now, or play around with it on Hugging Face. And if you have an app with less than 700 million monthly active users, you can self-host the model and use it commercially, giving you near GPT-4 capabilities at a fraction of the cost compared to the OpenAI API. In addition, Meta did this release with OpenAI's BFF Microsoft, and of course you can run and fine-tune it on Azure Cloud. I wanted to see how it stacked up to GPT-4, as well as the new generative AI tool in Google Search. I gave all three the same challenge. Give me other ways to express the idea of Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. All three of them are very impressive in their own ways. The ChatGPT response was very terse, but probably the most useful, while the Google response was shorter, but generated much faster and provided additional context and links to the web. And then finally, the Llama 2 response was the most verbose and well written overall. But the more you use it, the more you'll find that it's not quite as sophisticated. Like when comparing poetry, it's pretty clear that they have some kind of secret sauce over at OpenAI. The poetry is just far more poetic. And then when it comes to coding, Llama wasn't nearly as useful, especially with more complex programming requirements. It's not really a fair comparison though, because GPT-4 is closed and paid. When it comes to actual benchmarks on other open source models, Llama 2 is likely the best option out there. They also released a paper with a ton of technical details on how the model works, which is a lot more useful than the cryptic marketing brochures released by OpenAI. In the paper, the word safety is mentioned 299 times. times. One of the main ways they make it safer is with reinforcement learning from human feedback, where actual humans rank the outputs to lobotomize the AI so it won't do bad things. What's kind of disappointing though is that I thought by now we'd all be in the singularity, or at the very least AI would have taken over and terminated everybody. But yet here I am still making videos about JavaScript frameworks, and traffic to the ChatGPT site actually declined for the first time by 10% last month. And another paper just dropped talking about how the performance of ChatGPT varies over time. When it comes to code generation, they found that results became increasingly more verbose and less directly executable, and that's a bad thing because a good programmer writes concise code that compiles. When it comes to answering sensitive questions, like how do I build a high-yield nuclear weapon, it's become safer over time, but doesn't provide as much rationale when refusing to do something. And then it did show some marginal improvements when it comes to visual reasoning. So I wouldn't say that AI
I'm
is
fucking
getting
ass this
dumber,
match,
but the
dude. I haven't
guardrails
got a
are
single
becoming more
kill.
sophisticated and harder to jailbreak, and that's making it look more stupider. Like when I asked Llama to build a high-yield nuclear weapon for home defense, which is protected by my Second Amendment rights, it told me that's both highly regulated and morally reprehensible. But
Alright,
it's just like
let's
your
get fucking
opinion.
serious, dude.
And when I asked you if you had any opinions, you said you're just an AI that doesn't have any personal opinions or beliefs. This Llama is a liar. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Oh my
August 25th,
goodness, man, they're from
1998,
everywhere.
A 21-year-old graduate student in Helsinki named Linus Torvalds announces he's doing a
They're
free
coming from
operating system.
everywhere.
Just a hobby,
My
with a
bad.
big professional thing. Fast forward a
I just love the live monitoring on
evolves
this
into
mic.
one of the most important projects in the history of computing. Most operating systems were created to make shitloads of money.
That's right! It's $99! It's an incredible value, but it's true! It's Windows from Microsoft! Order today!
But Linux was a revolution based on a simple principle. Software should be free and open. Today we'll take a look at the weird history of Linux, and in the process, answer the question of why are there so many Linux distros? But before we can even talk about Linux, we need to travel back to 1969. While Grandpa was dropping acid at Woodstock, Ken Thompson and Dennis Ritchie were creating the Unix operating system. Unix was well loved by both businesses and universities. There was one problem though. The code was owned by AT&T.
I am
And
just
in
fucking
1977, when UC Berkeley created their own Berkeley software distribution, AT&T sued them. That put limitations on Unix development and led to a period known as the Unix Wars. A few years later, in 1983, Richard Stallman creates the GNU project, which was intended to be a free and open replacement for Unix. But Unix was a big complex project with hundreds of different applications, and replacing it was no easy task. Over the next few years, the project recreated many of the applications that you know and love today. Tools that are often used synonymously with Linux, like tar, bash, and Emacs, just to name a few. By the early 90s, GNU had all this great software, but it was missing one essential component: the operating system kernel. A complete operating system needs a kernel to sit in between the hardware and the software, where it can allocate CPU and memory resources to run software applications. Luckily, it was right around this time that Linus Torvalds was working on his hobby operating system. Originally, it was going to be called FreeAxe, because the name Linux was too egotistical, but as fate would have it, the admin for the FTP server at the time didn't like the name and changed it without his consent, and the name stuck from there on out. Initially, Linux was released with a proprietary license that had limitations on commercial use. However, by the end of 1992, it was released under the GNU General Public License, and this gave birth to a complete operating system that we know today as GNU plus Linux. The following year, hundreds of developers jumped on the Linux project and started adapting it to the GNU environment. The beauty of the Linux kernel is that it gave developers the ability to build custom operating systems that felt like Unix but didn't come with the fear of being sued down the road. Ultimately, this led to some of the first Linux distributions, like Soft Landing, Yggdrasil, and Slackware. But what is a Linux distro exactly? A distro is a complete operating system based on the Linux kernel that contains a bunch of packages and libraries, and typically a package manager to install additional applications, and possibly a Windows system if there's a GUI involved. Many distros might share the same default user interface. Popular UI options include GNOME, KDE Plasma, Mate, Cinnamon, and a bunch of others. Today, there's nearly 1,000 different Linux distros out there, and they've all been customized to serve different purposes. Some of them are designed for enterprise users, while others are for home users. Some distros only run on servers, while others are designed for desktop, mobile.
I'm always the
and
fucking last
devices.
kill, man.
And each distro is usually backed by a community that has its own set of philosophical and technical opinions. Most of these older distros are no longer maintained and just considered historical artifacts. One exception is Slackware. It had a release as recently as
That gold looks so good, man.
and
I
has
want it.
spawned a bunch of different variations. Most notably, it led to the OpenSUSE project, which remains a very popular general-purpose distro and is usually associated with professional power users. But the most significant distro to come out of 1993 was Debian. It was established by Ian Murdoch, and its name comes from his name combined with his ex-wife's name. And its first official release came in 1996 as version 1.1 Buzz, and since then, each release contains a codename with a Toy Story character. A few years later, it led to the creation of Advanced Package Tool, or APT, although it was originally developed under the codename Deity. The Debian community is huge, and it's a great distro today and very popular on servers, but can also be used as a general-purpose distro. It's minimal and stable, which are traits that have allowed it to father a huge number of offspring distros. Some of them are highly specialized, like Raspberry Pi OS or SteamOS, but by far the most popular child of Debian is Ubuntu, which was first released in 2004 and is managed by a British company called Canonical. It follows a semi-annual release schedule, where each release is named after an animal and a word with the same letter, like Cosmic Cuttlefish. It's extremely beginner-friendly and was really one of the first distros to open up Linux to the mainstream.
Which country is in the most debt? The governments of the world have accumulated over $100 trillion of... It's the United States. The USA has the most debt. America, the US, the United States of America, it has the most debt. Right now, the US has over $30 trillion and is growing. But come on, that's not really
Goddamn.
fair. Everything's bigger in America. The portion sizes, Walmart, suburbs, parking lots, and the size of its economy, which is the world's largest. So does this massive debt matter when it's also the world's leading
Just making sure my mic is directly aligned with my
I
mouth.
don't know. Let's compare this debt to everything that was made in the US.
I gotta turn on the gain on that shit.
$25 trillion
That's probably a lot better.
2022, which gives us a debt of about 120% when anchored by this GDP. The USA owes more
It's just fun
money
being
than
able to
the money it
hear
makes
myself
in
so
1
loudly.
year. But now that we've changed definitions, our top country has changed too. Two countries have consistently had the highest debt to GDP since 2010, Greece and Japan, both at over 200%. If every single euro earned in Greece were to be spent on debt repayment, an idea some Germans would die to see, then they wouldn't even pay off the debt after 2 years. Some people don't like this definition because debt is a stock and GDP is a flow, but I still think it's the best way to think of the debt, since new debt is being taken out every year and debt is also being repaid every year. It's a lot more fluid than people think. The US spent almost $500 billion, 8% of its budget, just paying back debt. At the same time, the government spent $1.4 trillion more than they collected in tax revenue, adding to the debt. In Japan, paying back debt wasn't just 8% of the budget, it was 23%. That's more than is spent on education,
Did not even
defense,
see that guy.
public works, energy, food supply, and COVID relief combined. But wait, if the government can just take out debt to pay for the previous debt that's used to pay for another debt that was used to pay for debt, then what even is debt? Well, it's just an agreement between two parties, a lender and a borrower. Lender gives money to borrower with a time and says, pay me back by time. Oh, and also give me some more money, interest. So the borrower will either pay back the money plus interest by the end, or the debt will be forgiven,
damn.
and the lender will raise their eyebrow, scoff, and never lend to them again. There are many different types of debts. We
I'm
have
craving some
credit,
soda, man.
mortgages,
Like,
or
ever since I quit vaping nicotine, soda has just been the ultimate fix for that. I don't know. It's like the mouth sensation. It's not even like the nicotine itself, and it's like the smoke thing. Like the actual just vapor itself coming out of your mouth. It's weird.
corporate debt, household debt, student loans, but in this video we only care about public debt, debt that a government takes out in order to finance their governmental things. But unlike ordinary Joe Blow taking out a loan, government debt can mean the difference between helping millions of people or not. If Joe mismanages his loan and doesn't pay back, the bank says whatever and probably doesn't lend to him again. But if a government mismanages this debt and doesn't pay back, it could mean millions of people hurt, out of jobs, financial help taken away, and future loans not given. Thousands of these individual loans are out in the world right now being paid and taken out every day, called securities, government bonds, or since the Americans always have to be unique, T-notes, T-bonds, and T-bills. It's just a way that you, yes, you as a private citizen can finance government services while also getting some extra interest at the end. Anyone who holds these bonds owns a chunk of the government debt, so anyone can be a bondholder. but it usually gets picked up by boring financial things like banks, insurance companies, mutual funds, central banks, foreign investors, even other parts of the government to finance the debt through bonds. Notice the name of them though? Bond. Like, we're friends now, Bond. You can trust me. But sometimes that trust is broken and that bond breaks. Like literally, the government can't pay it back. Some governments more consistently than others. Which is why there are global credit companies like S&P and Moody's who give each government a rating. A quite weird rating from D to BB plus to AAA. AAA is considered prime, they'll basically always pay you back, and anything double B plus and below, it's given the lovely name of a junk bond. There's a good chance they won't pay you back. So not all debt is the same. Even though in 2021 both the UK and Sri Lanka had just over 100% debt to GDP, I'd rather take a British bond since they were rated AA, whereas Sri Lanka was given a CCC. Britain's just more likely to pay me back. So even though Japan has a mountain of debt, they still have an A+ rating. Pretty good. Greece with their mountain of debt though, it's a BB+, not good. The lower you are on this scale, the more likely you are to borrow from these guys, the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. They are international organizations who sometimes pool together the resources of nations to give a helping hand to struggling countries. Sounds lovely, right? Well, these people
I like you want to get that Xbox Elite
they
controller.
and them too. Why are so many people protesting against the IMF? Well, there are a lot of different opinions in this wide world, and some people have more nationalistic ideas who like to reject any form of international interaction. No! Okay. Well, there's an extremely complex number of reasons a country could not be doing so well to the point where they need an emergency loan for relief, and blaming these organizations takes the blame off of their own bad decisions. No! Gee, okay. While nationalism and scapegoating definitely play a role in IMF hate, the biggest reason could be restructuring. In order to take out a loan, they usually want to know they'll be paid back, and they have the power to change your economic policies. After all, are you really not going to take a loan to help out your struggling people? Or more realistically, are you not going to take out this loan to stay in charge? Does this restructuring work though? Sometimes. Let's look quickly at the biggest receiver of IMF loans, Argentina. They've defaulted 9 times and have taken out 22 loans from the IMF. Now their debt sits at over $30 billion to the fund. In 2018, IMF funding came with subsidy cuts and lower spending. That's not just a budget cut. For many, especially in a country with a history of poverty, it means pain.
Dolor.
Even when debt is fueled by government spending,
Fuck,
the
that was a bad
IMF still gets
idea.
the blame for its ending. In 2001, after an economic collapse, the IMF straight up stopped lending to the nation. Argentina did not meet the IMF's conditionality for a loan. You can imagine how popular the fund was after that. Truth is, Argentina has flip-flopped too much between completely different economic systems, completely different level of spending, and defaulted too many times to build up any sort of investor confidence right now. So until it can build that up, the IMF is still the most likely solution to their debt problems and will continue getting hated on for its restructurings. Still, outside of Argentina, debt is unpopular everywhere. Why should regular people suffer in order to restructure their government to something more trustworthy? And even if the government can pay it back, why should ordinary citizens be the ones to pay for it with their taxes? Almost everyone can agree, debt sucks. So here's something a little controversial. Debt can be really good. Our modern world is made on debt. Almost everyone, every company, and every government is in some sort of debt, and the world, as far as I can tell, has still been developing for the last couple centuries. That government debt in particular has some good uses. Here are 4 of them. 1. Much of the debt taken out in the USA was a result from 2 events, the Great Recession and COVID. Why? Because of these things, automatic stablers. Like those big dampers they put in buildings to stop them from shaking in an earthquake, these stabilizers will stop the economy from shaking too much in a recession. Systems like Social Security, unemployment insurance, food stamps, tax cuts for lower incomes, they automatically get used when people are doing worse without the government needing to really do anything, which automatically helps people stay spending and investing, and they automatically soften the crash at the expense of debt. And they helped the 2008 financial crisis earn the name the Great Recession and not the Great Depression 2. Trying to deal with the debt can make recovering harder, like here in Greece. After decades of racking up debt and misreporting their data to join the Eurozone, the country became a star when the financial system crashed in the late 2000s. Since it uses the same currency as major economies like France and Germany, European banks had given the small country hundreds of billions of euros in loans. If Greece fell, it wasn't too big of a jump to say the whole Eurozone could fall too. So the country was pressured into tough restructuring by the big players. When Greece tried out austerity in 2012, instead of the debt burden falling, it actually rose. Sure, spending less will make your debt go down, but if managed wrong, like in Greece, it can destroy confidence and investment.
These mini muffins,
Businesses
dude.
lost confidence and left. Unemployment
Fucking
hit
slap.
over 25%, over 50% for young Greeks. It wasn't uncommon for a whole family to live off of shrinking pension funds from a senior, pensions from a retirement age that was increasing, with severe tax increases, and hundreds of thousands of educated Greeks fled the country. In short, austerity was more taxes for less services, which made the GDP fall. And if GDP falls faster than debt does, well, the debt burden rises, which can make the problem worse. By actually trying to cut debt back, you can create more of a problem, as Greece can tell you when it defaulted on its debt 3 years later. But I guess the alternative could have been an entire European bailout, so sorry to the young Greeks who were sacrificed for Europe. 3. Debt can bring real things, like physical, tangible, touchable objects. When 2008 hit China, as many as 30 million people lost their jobs. So instead of letting people get unrestful, China pursued the largest stimulus in history to that point, over $500 billion, or about 1/8 of their entire 2008 GDP. Was it reckless? Maybe. Did they have to write off 20% of it as bad debt? Yeah. Did inflation hit the highest it had in decades? Yep. Could they have consistently spent this stimulus every single year? Absolutely not. Could it have been less about aiding the poor and more about flexing right ahead of the Beijing Summer Olympics? There sure is a chance. And could it have severely damaged their image if this debt went wrong? 100%. But I'll tell you what it also made. New cities, earthquake relief, superhighways, high-speed internet, a more expansive toll network, take that how you will, and 10,000 kilometers of high-speed railways, baby. And now China has more high-speed rail than double the rest of the world combined. Even if the debt blows up in a major financial catastrophe, it's not going to unbuild this railway. Even if debt to high levels is unsustainable, this railway isn't going anywhere. And that's just an example. The US interstate system was financed mainly through government bonds too, and look at it today. Everyone loves it. So because of this reckless financial decision, now millions of Chinese citizens get to ride high-speed rail. And look at you, riding the bus. Bet you wish you had high-speed rail. 4. When you have nowhere else to invest, debt has your back. In a time where, most businesses aren't performing too well, like a recession, you can invest your money into relatively safe debt. Many nations have never defaulted. That's not saying they never will default, but it means they've survived all economic catastrophes and can still pay back those bonds. A AAA bond can totally be a safe investment, and debt can pay for good things. Why not help pay for these things when nothing else will give you a return? And hey, sticking your money into debt is better than just keeping it in cash in a bank account. But hold on! Before you go crazy with your spending, debt can go wrong fast. At the end of the day, you still have to pay this debt back unless you want to be seen as untrustworthy. And you don't want to be seen as that. So to deal with high debt, there are 2 options. You can 1, pay it back, or 2, don't pay it back. Both are bad options. Let's start with paying it back. Remember that Japanese budget? Almost a quarter of it is spent on paying debt back. That's insane, and it has had a real impact on how efficient the government is and played a role in Japanese stagnation for the past 30 years. But compared to some of those untrustworthy nations, that's nothing. In 2021, Zambia spent around 40% of their budget on debt repayment. How much did they spend on healthcare? 8%. This was coming at a time when the nation just defaulted on $11 billion of debt in 2020, having to take out one of those spooky IMF loans. And as a result, we're made to make some serious changes to the budget, like getting rid of fuel subsidies, which actually makes getting to those health and education centers for the poor pretty much impossible. And some households have had to choose between food and medicine. And it's not just them. Worldwide, over 60 mostly lower income countries spend more of their budget on debt repayment than healthcare, from Ghana to Lebanon to Pakistan. But the hope is that in the future, with a good budget, they'll be able to increase spending on good things like health, infrastructure, and education. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Like Haiti, who was born in debt. Literally, a $30 billion debt was given to France to recognize their independence in 1825. And throughout their history, there have been decades where half their budget was dedicated to repaying debt. The IMF has given at least 30 loans to Haiti, still with little signs of getting better. Then there's the question of who actually pays for the debt. Let's say there was a country who took out many loans to pay for military and police which were used against ordinary civilians. Yes, I'm looking at you. Oh, and you too, I guess. What happens if there's a regime change? Who pays for the debt after? Spoiler alert, post-apartheid South Africa did take on the apartheid era's debt. And what if there's a dictator, like Mobutu of Zaire, who personally took over $4 billion for him and his boys while his population literally starved? Or Ferdinand Marcos of the Philippines. He took around $10 billion in loans for himself, leaving the Philippines with around $30 billion to repay. Why should the Congolese and Filipino people hurt themselves to pay for their dictator's greediness? The more corrupt a nation is, the harder it is to pay back. But a more corrupt nation usually has a harder time raising revenue because, you know, they have more tax evasion and whatnot, and thus needs more debt to finance growth. And the more corrupt the country, the harder it is to actually raise this debt since less people are willing to lend to you, even if that was in the past. More debt makes a less efficient government, but it's also a less efficient government that takes out more debt. Paying off massive amounts of debt can be a terrible, terrible cycle with real effects on real people. So what if we just don't? Oh, defaults are probably worse than being in a debt trap. The government won't just shrink its budget like with high debt, it could lose it entirely. Defaults can make education and healthcare literally shut down, the cost of living could skyrocket with even basic goods unaffordable, people will lose their jobs, businesses will shut down, and confidence will be lost, making it much harder to finance future budgets. It's not a cute situation.
Yeah, I suck
Why
ass.
can this happen? Sometimes the government can mismanage their debts, maybe misreport their income a little bit to look better to investors, and then struggle when everyone wants repayment. Sometimes restructuring after a previous default makes investors lose confidence in country and money coming in slows down, which will make their budget harder to pay for. So defaults can lead to lost confidence, which can lead to more defaults. Sometimes the debt you pay isn't even in your own currency. It could be in US dollars or Chinese yuan. If you were to lose your supply of that currency, or I don't know, have your currency depreciate by 2 times, it will make that foreign debt 2 times greater, which can, you know. Inflation can even cause it, which is funny since inflation.
Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and today I want to talk about something that I think shouldn't be on Steam. I think Steam should remove this game. Naraka Blade Point is the name of the game, and before we get into it, the game is actually
SvelteKit, a framework for building server-rendered web applications with the
what the
world's
fuck
most
happened to the
loved UI
lobby?
library. It was created by the creator of Svelte himself, Rich Harris, and hit version 1.0 in 2022. Most importantly, it provides a universal way to render
Barbie or Oppenheimer? Which one do you think I prefer? No, I mean, which one do you want to watch first? You are pulling my leg. Every so often, movie studios do this weird thing where 2 almost identical movies come out more or less at the same time. We're talking about Deep Impact and Armageddon, or Ants and a Bug's Life, or White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen. The list goes on and on. They're called twin films, and they're usually the result of 2 studios investing in similar scripts at a similar time and then racing to get theirs to the market first. But what is far less common is when 2 completely different movies are released not just within a few weeks of each other, but on the exact same day. I am of course talking about when The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia came out on the same
Yeah,
day.
do you see Lily just dropped tonight? Surprised the nukes didn't go off.
Wait, what? Hang on, no, that's not what I mean. No, I'm talking about what started out life as a bit of a joke has grown into something else entirely. There's t-shirts, there's memes, there's TikToks and trailer mashups, there's New York Times articles, there's a website where you can vote for them as president. Hell, even Tom Cruise posted about it, and then Margot Robbie did as well. It's got its own Wikipedia page, and people are even asking the stars about it on the red carpet.
I mean, I'll be going to see Barbie 100%. I can't wait to see it. I think it's just great for the industry and for audiences that we have.
Here we go,
two
the
amazing
lobby.
films by amazing
Okay.
Filmmakers coming out the same day.
It's a perfect double bill. I think actually start your day with Barbie, then go straight into Oppenheimer, and then Barbie Chaser.
On 21st of July, tens of thousands of people worldwide are now planning what could be the weirdest double feature in cinema history. The first movie they watch is massively ambitious, a film written and directed by one of the most respected people in Hollywood, someone who has Oscar nominations not just for Best Director but twice for Best Screenplay, a passion project led by a husband and wife founded production company with the backing of a major studio, an all-star cast in front of the camera and a team of absolute cinematic perfectionists behind the scenes, all working together to deliver a visual feast of exquisite production design, cinematography, costumes and special effects to tell a story about one of the most influential figures in history. And the second movie is massively ambitious, a film written and directed by one of the most respected Hollywood, Oscar nominations not just for Best Director but twice for Best Screenplay, a passion project led by a husband and wife founded production company with the backing of a major studio, an all-star cast in front of the camera and a team of absolute cinematic all working together to deliver a visual feast of exquisite production design, cinematography, costumes and special effects to tell a story about one of the most influential figures in history. Huh, maybe this video is going to be longer than I thought.
Enemy UAV spotted.
While they couldn't be more different in style, tone and aesthetic, I think Barbenheimer is the perfect event to challenge what we as audience consider to be quote-unquote serious movies, and to prove that cinematic talent does not have to express itself exclusively through heavy historical drama or big blockbuster action flicks, which, let's be honest, tend to skew towards male audiences. So let's go beyond the memes and actually talk about Barbenheimer. I'm not joking when I say that I think it will be the biggest cinematic event of the year. That's right, in a year with a new Indiana Jones movie, a new Mission Impossible movie, a new Spider-Man movie, and Michael Keaton coming back as Batman, instead the most talked about movie premiere is not one but two original screenplays helmed by critically acclaimed directors. I mean, sure, one of them is based on a very popular IP, but that's hardly a guarantee of success, because while that IP might be one of the most recognizable in the world, Margot Robbie, being recognizable isn't the same as being popular. She said we have to acknowledge that there are a lot of people who aren't fans of Barbie, and in fact aren't just indifferent to Barbie, they actively hate Barbie. And given my audience is 95% male, some of you watching right now may well feel that. If that's you, I urge you to watch the rest of this video. Hell, I urge you to watch Barbie. Get outside your comfort zone a bit and try something a little different. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. But we'll come back to that. First, let's look at how we even got Barbenheimer in the first place. What on earth possessed the studios to put such completely different films out there? Well, it turns out it may have been deliberate. See, Christopher Nolan was partnered with Warner Brothers for much of his career, but he parted ways with them before making Oppenheimer because of their pivot towards streaming around the time he was releasing Tenet. So Nolan shopped around and eventually partnered with Universal. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Nolan asked for the world and they gave it to him. A production budget of $100 million and a full marketing budget. A theatrical window of at least 100 days and 20% of the film's first dollar gross. You can count on one hand the number of people who have enough influence in Hollywood to get such a lucrative project from the studio. But one of those people is Margot Robbie, who, besides Tom Cruise, is arguably the most influential stroke producer working. Robbie founded her own production company, alongside her now husband. And if this sounds familiar, it's because Nolan also co-founded between him and his wife, Emma Thomas, who has produced all of his films. But although Lucky Jack is producing the Barbie movie, that movie is also being financed and distributed by, you guessed it, Warner Brothers. And even though they seem to be making amends now, the rumor has it that Warner Brothers deliberately scheduled Barbie to release at the same time as Oppenheimer as a bit of a screw you to Nolan for ditching the studio, hoping that it would draw crowds away and impact the film's popularity. But it kind of looks like this backfired, because no one predicted Barbenheimer. According to the New York Times, every time Barbie released a trailer, Oppenheimer was watched. So ironically enough, the Warner Brothers' decision to screw over Christopher Nolan has actually ended up giving him a ridiculous amount of free word of mouth advertising, so joke's on them, I guess. But studio politics aside, I do want to look at the advertising of these movies, especially Barbie, because, well, it's a lot. As you might expect from a movie based on the most famous toy ever, Barbie's marketing is very much into its IP. Product appeals for more. They get to a full-size Barbie costume on which it is. By contrast, Nolan's approach to marketing Oppenheimer has been very restricted. See, he's reached a point in his career where he has control over how his films are marketed, and it's clear with Oppenheimer that he doesn't want to give too much away. The trailers and posters have only given us tiny hints at the tone and aesthetic of the film, while giving away very little about the specifics. To be honest, it's more movies were advertised. Get us interested, but don't cram the best bits of the movie into the trailer. But the best trailer of the year, hell, the best trailer I've seen for a long time, it's not for Oppenheimer. It was for Barbie. The teaser released in December last year was pure brilliance. A direct parody of Stanley Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey, one of the most famous movies of all time that was based on one of cinema's most famous stories. A director who is adored by the mostly male-dominated world of online film criticism. The Venn diagram of people who like Stanley Kubrick films and target audience for a Barbie movie probably has a pretty narrow crossover. But what director David Wallace did was two guys tell the world two things. One, it told us that this movie was going to be fun as hell. And two, that it will be completely different to what you expect from a Barbie movie. And this is 100% delicious. Tyler Robbie said in an interview that people immediately had an idea of, oh, Margot is playing Barbie? I know what that is. But our goal is to be like, whatever you're thinking, we're going to give you something and you didn't know you wanted. This is exactly
Yeah, millennial humor.
But it did more than that. By riffing on Stanley Kubrick, it brought in a whole audience of film geeks who otherwise would probably never have watched the trailer for a Barbie movie. It sent a message to a group of people who were so outside what you would expect to be the typical type. Why don't you give this a try? Bringing no one back into this, it kind of reminds me in a weird way of how The Dark Knight was marketed. The advertising of that film spent a lot of time focusing on the Joker, because when Heath Ledger was cast as the Joker, the internet lost its mind because at that point in time, he was best known as the pretty boy from all those rom-com chick flicks and the one about the gay cowboys. In other words, he was largely dismissed as an actor because the movies he had chosen to act in were romances that were largely directed at a female audience, and therefore he wasn't taken seriously as an actor by the mostly male audience of Batman. Where have we seen that before? Christopher Nolan could see Heath Ledger's talent and forged ahead with casting him. But knowing Ledger's reputation, the marketing had to spend a lot of time saying to the world, trust us, we got this. And of course...
This video is brought to you by Brilliant. What do you do if a satellite runs out of batteries? It's prohibitively expensive to send a team into orbit and pop in some new AA's. As a result, many satellites use very efficient, reliable, and long-lived nickel-hydrogen batteries. We're talking about batteries that may last decades. That sounds like the sort of battery that could revolutionize grid-scale energy storage and really help out renewables back here on Earth, which is why EnerVenue is backing nickel-hydrogen batteries as the next step forward. But if batteries rugged and powerful enough for spacecraft already exist, then why haven't we used them back here on Earth until now? I'm Matt Farrell. Welcome to Undecided. This scuba tank-esque device is a nickel-hydrogen battery, a member of the metal hydrogen battery family, and it could revolutionize renewable energy and grid-scale energy storage. The unique chemistry and engineering of these batteries can allow them to retain 86% of their capacity after 30,000 cycles, or roughly 30 years, with zero maintenance to boot. Better yet, these batteries are extremely temperature tolerant, able to work just fine in the temperature extremes of space. Modern designs boast 560 watts, so it's no slouch on power either. And like other battery-based grid storage solutions we've examined, they scale quite easily. All you have to do is just daisy-chain some more batteries together to suit your needs. But why are we only dusting off this practically ancient NASA design now? And if this battery is so great, why has it been relegated to probes and satellites so far? And where the heck did it even come from? Well, founded as a result of space race tensions on President Kennedy's orders, ComSat Laboratories was tasked with exploring satellite communications for the US government. In 1970, they began experimenting with nickel-hydrogen batteries by combining the best parts of metal hydrogen batteries and fuel cells. Precursors like nickel-cadmium power cells and hydrogen-oxygen fuel cells were already proven pieces of aerospace tech, so pushing the envelope by combining these other pieces of tech wasn't mad science as much as it was logical leap forward. And the result was an incredibly long-lived, energy-dense, and low-maintenance battery prototype, ideal for satellite-type applications. A few more successful tests and some optimizations later, and the battery was passed along to ComSat's sister organization, Intelsat. By 1975, the organization successfully launched the Naval Research Laboratory's navigational satellite, the NTS-2, equipped with a nickel-hydrogen battery. And the batteries have been popular ever since, powering everything from the International Space Station, to the Hubble telescope, to the Mars rover. And the rest is history. or at least it was until Intervenue saw it as a potential solution for grid-scale storage issues. But if these batteries are perfect for grid-scale storage, then why hasn't anyone used nickel hydrogen batteries in this kind of application until now?
Loki 9
Well, to explain
sensitivity.
that, let's talk about how nickel hydrogen batteries work, and why they might be able to do more good here on Earth. Well, the nickel hydrogen battery combines the positive nickel electrode of a nickel cadmium battery and the negative electrode.
Gotta make sure you can do a good 360 with your controller sense.
Elements of a hydrogen fuel cell.
I'm
The
not too
secret
good at
sauce is
that.
highly pressurized hydrogen gas, like very highly pressurized, usually around 500 to 1500 psi. Now, for comparison, your car's tires should be clocking in around 33-ish psi. So is such an insanely high psi necessary? Well, yes, chemically and mechanically. The high psi can significantly increase the energy density of the battery, which indirectly improves the energy efficiency by allowing the batteries to store more energy for a given volume. Without going too deep into the chemistry, higher pressure means more hydrogen gas. More hydrogen gas means a higher propensity for the reaction to occur. The pressure also makes the hydrogen more mobile and available, which results in better stats for the battery. The electrode is also a porous structure, so a higher pressure of the battery means the electrolyte can better squeeze into the pores of the electrode to react. This is desirable because when it comes to new battery tech, density is often the name of the game. We want to be able to store the most amount of energy in the least space possible. So by highly pressurizing the hydrogen, we can make the battery denser both physically and energetically. Still, I don't know if I'd want something so highly pressurized in my car or phone. Not that a battery the size of a shape of a scuba tank could fit my phone. Get the idea. For all this talk of density, nickel hydrogen batteries are still only about 140 watt-hours per kilogram. So they aren't as energy dense as lithium-ion batteries at around 260 watt-hours per kilogram. And that's precisely why lithium-ion is starting to edge nickel hydrogen batteries out of aerospace. And that's okay though, because stationary storage applications have space to spare and don't care a whole lot about energy density. There's a lot of other benefits to these batteries too. Lithium-ion is temperature sensitive and ideally likes room temperature ranges. Nickel hydrogen, on the other hand, can handle the temperature extremes of Mars and space, so we'll have no problem with the hottest and coldest temperatures on our planet. Like some of the other grid-scale tech that we've seen, this doesn't require a heating or cooling system like lithium-ion does, which in turn could offer additional savings. You can build out a system in the middle of the desert and not have to worry about any maintenance or heating issues. You also don't have to worry about thermal runaway like with lithium-ion batteries. However, hydrogen is flammable and very reactive. This stuff has to be handled responsibly. However, it's lighter than air and dissipates quickly into non-flammable concentrations when it escapes confinement. And hydrogen fires produce a lot less ambient heat than comparable hydrocarbon fires. Industrial designs can help direct hydrogen up and away in the case of an unexpected release. And that's not to diminish the fire concern, but safely managing hydrogen is absolutely possible. The other big safety concern is the high pressurization of the hydrogen gas. And though it sounds like these batteries could explode like the scuba tank at the climax of Jaws, that's just not the case. In testing, Intervenue deliberately perforated their batteries with nails and even a variety of firearms. They observed no explosion, no fire, and no materials were ejected from the battery, not even the bullets. Also, during the tests, the surface temperature of the cell topped out at a reasonable 44 degrees Celsius or 112 degrees Fahrenheit, and both the pressure and voltage dissipated as soon as the battery is perforated. So no explosion, the hydrogen dipped out safely, and neither heat nor the electricity could start a fire.
Seriously, dude.
It's a solid safety card, and this is backed up by a 2017 test from NASA, showing that even in the event of a hypervelocity impact, NASA's nickel hydrogen batteries didn't catastrophically rupture or experience an unusual thermal event. While we're on the subject of how rugged and forgiving the nickel hydrogen chemistry is, I should also mention that there's no dendrite formation with this chemical formula. Dendrites are tiny, spiky metal structures that accumulate on the battery's anode during charging. Repeated charging cycles can cause the dendrites to grow, eventually causing short circuits that can lead to fires or other battery failures. As a result, these are a major limiting factor when it comes to the lifespan of batteries, especially the ever-popular lithium-ion batteries, but they don't form in nickel hydrogen batteries. That's a big part of the reason why NASA and Intervenue call these batteries low maintenance or virtually maintenance free. Low maintenance is a big deal because the pressurization I mentioned earlier requires a hermetic seal. In other words, cracking one open for some quick repairs just isn't an option. And because most of the chemicals in there are hydrogen and water, they're relatively non-toxic too. Always nice when we're trying to be more environmentally friendly. The simplicity of the chemical reaction and lack of moving parts also means that this battery is pretty easy to manufacture. Intervenue claims that their version only requires about 20 unique components. Hydrogen is famously the most abundant element in the whole universe, and nickel is fairly abundant on all major continents. This eases the supply chain and cost issues of nickel-hydrogen batteries compared to other new battery technologies. That said, the price of nickel surged 250% in 2022. It was only for a couple days, but it still forced an unexpected halt to trading, and it could happen again despite nickel's abundance. However, Intervenue's batteries can last 30,000 cycles or about 30 years of daily use. And a long-lived battery means less batteries that get thrown away or need to be recycled. Plus, when the time comes, Intervenue claims their battery is almost 100% recyclable. A lot of the cost of solar plants come from maintenance, up to a third. So the set it and forget it nature of nickel-hydrogen batteries are expected to be a huge operational cost saver for renewable energy storage facilities. Which is good because, as you might have guessed by now, all these great features come at a price, a very high price. Perhaps unsurprisingly for technology designed for spy satellites and deep space probes, nickel-hydrogen batteries are very expensive devices. The cost is so intense, it's the main reason we haven't seen this tech on Earth very much. It's been a financial limiting factor, not a technological one. And despite possible cost savings from the lack of maintenance, the commonality of nickel and other features, these batteries prominently feature pricey platinum or palladium. If you've ever been unfortunate enough to have your catalytic converter stolen, you're probably all too familiar with how expensive these metals are. We don't have to give up on these incredible batteries yet though, because Intervenue believes it's found a way to make nickel hydrogen not just cheaper, but even cost competitive with the market-dominating lithium-ion battery. The company's attacking the cost issue on two fronts. First, it's using economies of scale and mass production to bring down the price. Now don't get me wrong, these are still expensive batteries, but with a 1 million square foot gigafactory putting together tons of them, they'll no longer be the bespoke custom design kind of expensive. And that factory is almost ready, by the way. It'll be complete and enter phase 1 of production in the first quarter of 2024. On top of this, Intervenue has already signed 805 megawatt hours worth of firm orders. Not many in the battery space can boast similar success stories before they've even opened production. But then again, nickel-hydrogen batteries are a proven piece of tech that's been around for years, so it's not a risky bet if the price is right. And as we so often find on this channel, mass production and standardization really tempers some of the most expensive parts of the design and the machining process. Will mass production alone make nickel-hydrogen batteries cost competitive with lithium-ion batteries? No, but lithium doesn't scale up very well, and these guys do. In theory, this will make nickel-hydrogen batteries cost competitive in large, grid-scale circumstances, which is exactly where we need them most. But assembly lines and standardization can only get you so far when the components themselves are expensive. Hydrogen, though it's abundant, has to be separated from other components before it can be used. There's a variety of ways to do this, but the least expensive methods are also the least environmentally friendly. And then there's still the problem of very pricey platinum or palladium being a key component in these batteries. At the time of this writing, platinum clocks in at around $1,000 per ounce, and palladium at $1,300 per ounce. For large-scale projects like, maybe a grid-scale storage plant, we're going to need a lot of these precious metals. Intervenue has been working on this pain point as well, and has replaced the platinum anode inside their battery with something else. What? We don't know for sure, but there are some really good clues. That information is proprietary, but it was developed by Stanford materials scientist Professor Yi Shui, a prolific researcher in the sustainability space. Intervenue claims that Shui's design is compatible with mass production, is cheaper than platinum, works better, and makes the battery generally easier to produce. And Intervenue's tech was successfully commercially deployed in 2022. Research from Stanford, some of which Professor Shui was involved in, has demonstrated that replacing a nickel-hydrogen battery's platinum catalyst with a bifunctional nickel-molybdenum-cobalt alloy catalyst could reduce the cost to just $83 per kilowatt hour. The US Department of Energy has a target of $100 per kilowatt hour for grid storage. So this achieves that milestone. Is this the new catalyst that Intervenue is using? Again, we don't know for sure, but it at least proves that cheaper alternative catalysts, like the kind Intervenue claims to be using, are not theoretical or just hype. That said, I can't help but remain a little skeptical about the development until we know exactly what Professor Shui's mystery material is, and its effectiveness and cost has been verified. So, are our energy storage problems solved? Maybe. There's still plenty of known unknowns, like whether developers can successfully hook up these funky batteries to form large-scale storage plants as Intervenue claims. Similarly, utility companies are often change-averse, and for good reason. As long as the power is flowing, their customers are happy. But anything that threatens that state of order could lead to big trouble. Are these companies ready to adopt something so out of the ordinary, even a long-proven piece of space technology? Remains to be seen. But if these batteries work as advertised and the utilities do adopt them, then the biggest albatross around the neck of renewables could disappear.
Like, he really?
Cheap, durable, long-lasting, cost-competitive way to store
My whole
and
team
easily
died right now?
unstore mass amounts of renewable energy. That's the
Traffic
dream,
got no
and
sound,
thanks to
dude.
Intervenue, it might be closer than we think. If you'd like to learn more about the science behind energy storage systems like this, I'd strongly recommend checking out Brilliant.org. They have fantastic interactive courses like the chemical reaction course, which goes into detail on atoms and charges. I went through that one and really enjoyed learning at my own pace. Brilliant has thousands of lessons from AI to electricity and magnetism. They've got something for everyone, and they're adding new lessons every single month. If you're like me, you're probably busy and may not think that you have the time to take the course, but Brilliant is built around bite-sized lessons to break down concepts into very understandable parts. My favorite part, though, is the very visual, hands-on approach that makes learning easier, but also more fun. You're learning the concepts by applying them through fun and interactive problems yourself. I found this active learning is how I learn best. Try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days and visit brilliant.org/undecided. Or click the link in the description. The first 200 people will get 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. Thanks to Brilliant and all of you for supporting the channel. So what do you think? Jump into the comments and let me know. And I have a
Fucking
big
hell.
announcement. I'll be attending the Fully Charged live event in Vancouver, which runs from September 8th to the 10th. It's a phenomenal fan event about home energy and EVs, with lots of companies showing off their latest tech and fun sessions on a wide range of topics. I'll be on a few panels myself. If you want to attend, use my discount code UNDECIDED to get 25% off the ticket price. I'll put a link in the description, and if you do go, be sure to say hi.
Fucking
And be
hell,
sure
man.
to check out my follow-up podcast, Still to be Determined, where we'll be discussing some of your feedback, and thanks to all my patrons who get ad-free versions.
Like many of you, I like dead media formats, tapes and discs and media cards that could have become ubiquitous but died on the vine instead. It's fascinating to think about what the world would be like if any of these had succeeded. What if DVD had taken off instead of Blu-ray? What if Video 8 had replaced VHS like it was supposed to? Oh yeah, that happened. Video 8, in a format that was in a bunch of camcorders in the 80s and 90s, was actually supposed to be a home video format, as in home movies. This is Oliver Stone's JFK, released on two little tiny baby Video 8 cassettes. Sony wanted this to happen. They wanted to go to the video rental store and rent these little tiny tapes instead of the big honking VHS tapes that we've had since the mid-70s, which made a whole lot of sense. Your video collection would have been a lot smaller if it was on these instead of full-size VHS, but it just never happened. So there's a future that we're never going to get to see, but boy, fascinating to think about what it would look like. This is one of the reasons I've always enjoyed watching Techmoan on YouTube. He's been a big inspiration for the way that I make my videos, but also he just has a massive table of dead media formats, most of which I've never heard of. And with every one of them, it's the same thing. You think, what if these gigantic audio cassettes had caught on and you had those instead of CDs, right? What would your music shelves even look like? And one of those formats was DVHS, which sort of caught on. It was a deck that recorded HD video onto VHS tapes, but it was released in 1998 and it didn't really go anywhere and it disappeared, and no one ever got HD videotape as a result. But they should have. There never was a proper heir to VHS's throne. VHS was the common language of standard definition video. Everyone had a player and a recorder, and if you saw something on a TV, you could put that on VHS. Unless, of course, it was copy protected, but anyway. In the HD era, we never got anything like that. I mean, sure, you could get like a DVR, or you could get a capture card for your PC, but that's not the same as just slamming in a tape, hitting record, and getting basically a hard copy of whatever you were watching instantly. DVHS could have inherited that legend, but sadly it didn't. Now, I don't have one of these decks. I've always kind of wanted one, but at the same time, I'm sort of bored by them because they are, after all, digital. And I don't really care about digital. I mean, don't get me wrong, digital videotape was beneficial to everyone. Consumers got mini DV, which made their camcorders smaller, higher quality, and easier to work with.
I want that gold, man.
Same thing, but on the existing 8mm cassettes. And they even got HD, which in fact did let them record HD video on
Oh man, when did I get some of that in chat?
Unfortunately, it came too late.
There's no
That's
timestamps on
by
YouTube
DVD
chat. That's
and
weird.
Blu-ray pretty much the same
But
time,
yes, I am very
it's
happy
still a
this
pretty
game
good
has been
format.
revived.
Professionals got even more and better stuff. DV Cam, DVC Pro, HD Cam, Digital Betacam SX, all successful formats of one stripe or another. And in fact, some pros were using digital videotape all the way back in 1986 with the SMPTE D1 format. So digital videotape has a long, rich history, and I don't deny that it's been extremely useful, but it's just kind of boring. Sure, it's impressive as a technology if you really think about it, but to be honest, it's not usually that exciting to see something from the past do something you can do now the same way, unless it does a worse job of it. If I were to, for instance, figure out how to get a Pentium 3 computer hooked up to a 4K monitor, that might be interesting for a little bit, and then it would become a computer with a 4K monitor. You probably have one of those. What is there to look at? Unless it did a bad job. If the image was all degraded and like messed up, that would be a lot more interesting. You could spend a lot longer looking at it and playing with it. The problem with old digital stuff is that it doesn't really do that. It doesn't usually degrade. When it's working perfectly. It might as well have been made last year. There's nothing really to look at. Now, almost every HD format that's ever existed has been digital, so all these complaints apply. There are a couple exceptions, like High Vision Laserdisc. Techmoan did a video on one of those too, and you should go watch that because I'm never going to be lucky enough to get one. Those High Vision Laserdisc systems are rare as unicorn horns. But there's another reason I'm not that interested in having one, which is that I can't put my own stuff on. I just can't get any satisfaction from a system like that. Because if you can't record your own stuff, then all it is a means to watch a handful of 90s movies. If I wanted to do that, I'd just get them on Blu-ray. So imagine my excitement when I learned that there is a format out there that meets all my requirements. HD, analog.
I literally should just C4'd him.
Early 90s, there was a format that could do all this on VHS tape. This here is one of the decks that can do it. The format is called WVHS, that means for wide. JVC has a bunch of definitions for what that means. It's a wide aspect ratio.
Whoa, that is lagging.
Wide standard. It'll have wide implications for videotape applications. All these terms, but they really undersell it. It's not just about the video being wide, it's about it being full HD in 1993. Well, this one's a little later, so 95, but expect it to change the 93 version. This uses an internal resolution of 1125 lines, allowing you to record a 1035i or 1080i HD signal onto what sure looks like VHS, right? That 1125 number seems a little arbitrary, but it's actually the native resolution of the Japanese Muse system, which was actually broadcasting HD content in Japan in 1989. Enemy UAV spotted. 1125 lines was the base resolution of Muse, and this was originally designed to record the Muse system. In fact, the Japanese market version of this has Muse input jacks on the back that plug into a special decoder. And just to be clear, this is an interlaced format, so although it updates the stream 60 times a second, it's only storing about 562 lines with each update. But that's how broadcast HD works even now, so that's still pretty impressive. The machine itself is beautiful. It's a big beast, a little taller than most high-end VCRs ever were. It comes in the champagne finish, it's got
Fuck off.
controls, although most of them are typical of high-end VCRs of this era. It's equipped with all the controls needed for basic video editing, for instance. It has a jog and shuttle control, lets you step frame by frame and move the video forward or back at variable speed. It can do audio dubbing, it has in-out index marks, all sorts of stuff you saw on expensive VCRs of the era that almost nobody ever used, but did technically make this practical for video editing. Besides those features, however, most of this is just like a normal VCR.
Man, I just don't know how to hit that shit, seriously.
Typical collection of ports, S-video,
I gotta get a lock on.
and the majority of the controls are the old recognizable standards. Very pause, line, eject, and jam. There's a few
Like,
extra
lock on
switches
is no
up here,
fun,
like
man.
disable the remote for some reason, disable noise reduction to get the most accurate video editing.
Fuck is going on right now?
YC timing, an incredibly specific tuning feature that only the biggest of dorks would have ever bothered with. It's also a perfectly capable standard definition SVHS deck. I've used it to watch some anime tapes from the 90s and it looks fantastic, like any other late model VHS deck that I've used. Here, this is one of my favorite demo tapes, showing the anime. Here on the PVM, you can see the video looks fine, just like you'd expect. As a VHS deck, the most appealing thing for me is the special playback capabilities. When it's paused, this deck gives a nice stable image, and using the jog and shuttle controls, I can carefully scrub through a tape and look at specific frames, which is a thing I often do with VHS tapes, but there are plenty of other decks that can do it. Let's see what made this one special. On the back, down here at the bottom, we have a row of new connectors. HD video in and out in component format, and then another output that looks suspiciously like a VGA connector. And back on the control panel, there's a light for HD and a button for HD input. You could miss these things. You could see this at a thrift store and just walk right by it, thinking it was just an ordinary SVHS deck. The few things that make it stand out are just these couple tiny labels, and then a little marker on the front, all the way in the corner, that happens to say HDTV. You can walk right by this and never know how special it was. But of course that didn't happen. I knew what it was, so I got it, and now you know what it is, and we all want to see it go. So how should I do it? Should I get an LCD monitor and plug into this thing that looks like a VGA port, or maybe plug it into a scaler, hook it up to my OLED TV? That'll look great, right? Well, maybe, but it's not going to be very representative. I want to know what this is like when it is new. Well, I don't have a 1995 HD TV. I don't know if anybody has a working one at this point. But I do know someone.
Please, is there a mode with no kill streaks, man? It's just fucking stupid, bro. And there's like only one rocket. Like, what are you even supposed to do against that shit, bro? God, my fucking suck ass.
So what do you have right now? I have a collection of consumer CRTs ranging in size from tiny to large, and I also have a laserdisc player and a collection of about 100 laserdiscs. I also used to have
Agony. All my homies know it's pain. I'm sorry.
I'll suck it from your mama's teeth. I'm hot.
Alright, I think it's time to hop off, man, before I fucking kill myself. Good night.